Hey, buddy, it's almost agreement time. Saturday night, we're going early tonight because I got to watch the Packers game later. It's a whole separate thing. So far, the Titans aren't looking good, which doesn't really ruin anything for our bets. But tomorrow's AFC Championship game is going to be very interesting because one of AC or Max is going to be in serious trouble with their picks after tomorrow's game. So either way, we'll watch that and we'll follow it. Had a couple interviews this week, scheduled a ton for the next couple weeks. So we're going to be busy here getting you guys all up to speed on who's running for what and what the jobs are and blah, 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 blah. We are almost in agreement. Almostinagreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to our website, almostinagreement.com. I'm still working on filling out all the job description stuff. That is my, fifth priority of the 10,000 things I have going in my life. So when we get that done, it's up now so you can see it. If you have a correction, shoot me an email at almostinagreement@gmail.com. Anyway, Sam's here. Lil Lee's going to sit in. We're going to talk about why there's no school this week and stuff like that. And then we'll excuse him and go on to other topics. So, Almost in Agreement. It is the 22nd of January, 2022. Here we go.
Is this the third podcast of 2022?
It is the third that we've done like this, yes.
Okay.
As far as the big show, as we like to call it.
But I just heard... I heard one of your podcasts, and so I knew that there was at least two, and so I thought this was the third one.
I think you're right. Like, this is like the fifth or sixth we've done this year, because I've had a couple of interview shows that weren't with the main crew.
Yeah, of Sam and you and other people.
Right, and Max and AC when they get around to it. I had AC last week in the room. That was exciting. But so anyway, Sam's been sick. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. I'm going to steal the brain of a child for a couple minutes. We were out of school all week this week. Monday was a holiday, so we were going to be out of school for Monday no matter what.
Either way, and to be honest, I thought that was going to be just the only no school day. I mean,
it was supposed to be the only no school day.
But it snowed.
As I understand it, had nothing to do with the snow. There was none of the days off this week were weather related.
Yeah, but
it was
some of it.
We probably would have had school off Monday for weather if we were scheduled for school, but I think Tuesday was not about weather. It was about
like Tuesday, Wednesday. Sorry.
You're going Tuesday, Wednesday,
Thursday, and Friday was mostly about COVID, but Tuesday was kind of about snow, so they were just like, we'll just do it because of both.
Yeah, and so, it's weird. It's just weird all over to have a whole week off, to have that big of a shortening of teachers and stuff like that out of the blue.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, the last time you were at school, which was almost 2 weeks ago,
aka 9 days ago,
something like that, were you missing a bunch of kids in your classroom?
To be honest, I don't know how to say that. Like, I kind of was, but I kind of wasn't. Like, there's a few people who
Like, how many kids are in your class?
There's 17.
How many were there on that Friday, if you remember?
Like 15.
Okay, so 2 kids missing. How many kids are normally missing? Do you ever have a day where all 17 kids are there?
I have a few, but not many.
Not many. So usually 1 or 2 are out.
Yeah, but the most was probably a day where I got there early, and most of the stuff happened pretty early, I'd say.
It's like the day before Christmas break or something like that. Everybody took off early.
Yeah, like there was only like 6 or 7 people.
But that's normal. That's people skipping town to go to family vacation or family gatherings or whatever.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And so, again, I understand that you were at one school of many in Knox County, and that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But that's what's confusing to me as a parent about it, because I don't remember hearing anything specifically at our school about a shortage, an issue getting teachers in. Did you have a sub anytime last week?
I did not.
I know your brother's had a sub, but that's because his teacher's having a baby.
Technically, my main teacher that I've had this year is technically a sub.
Right. She was a temp sub. She started her temp last year, and she's still on her temp. She's not a full-time teacher with Knox County Schools.
She probably will by next year.
Seems like she's going to be, yeah.
Yeah. And maybe even take over that classroom.
I mean, it seems like a natural evolution for what's going on with her.
Yeah.
So, again, that's what, I don't know. So I think it's weird that I'm confused on the idea of that, how there's a bunch of teachers somewhere that are missing school, and doesn't seem to be at ours, but we have to be out for it because it has to be countywide.
Yeah, I'm assuming that that it's because more of the high school and the older grades teachers.
Yeah, because they suck.
Like, I'm pretty sure they are more older teachers, but I know there are pretty old teachers in my school, but the main of them, I'd say, are in other schools.
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't think about that. It does seem that newer teachers tend to start in elementary school and work their way to stuff. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Because all teachers seemed old to me when I was in school.
I mean, at first...
They were all, like, ancient.
Yeah, at first when I was in school until second or first grade, I forgot, I thought that all teachers were, like, ancient.
Well, I remember meeting your brother's teacher when he was in third grade, and she's younger than me, like by 3 years, and I was like, oh, that means I'm really old. And that was 3 or 4 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, but now you're 4 decades old, and
thanks, buddy.
Now that you're looking back at that, you're
right.
Like,
I was a wee baby 3 years ago.
Yeah,
40 was so far away. Okay, so and let's see if we can look at it in the big picture. How much do you think missing a week this last week is going to affect the rest of the school year for you?
I think it's going to affect it like not that much, but at the same time that much. Because,
explain.
I'll explain because most breaks aren't that long. Usually they're 1 or 2 days. And I'd say that affected it because, everyone's shocked. And, maybe some of next week we still won't have school.
True, there's talk of missing some days coming up, too. They haven't made a decision yet, so.
If that happens, I'd be kind of sad. Because, I can do a week without school, yeah, that's fine. Fine, other than on breaks. But, more, and it's just sick days and stuff for other people, I'm just I want to head back.
Right, I understand. That does, and I mean, as a parent and having to deal with you at home and balance all the craziness, and then we had issues at work and all that kind of stuff this last week. It ended up being a really hectic week on top of, which makes it harder. So, all right, buddy. Well, I appreciate your insight today.
You're welcome.
Me and Sam are going to go on to talk about some other things. Is there any? You got a couple minutes, 2 minutes. What else do you want to talk about?
The first thing I want to talk about is
he came with a list.
Is that so? I'm pretty sure that how much do you want to quit your green shirt? I really want to know.
I go back and forth on it. I don't necessarily enjoy. I don't enjoy the work. It's really brain dead, kind of painfully boring work. But I don't have to work a ton of hours. The pay is solid. The pay is really good for how much I actually work. And the insurance and the other benefits come along with it are pretty handy. And really, especially when you guys are in school like you're supposed to be. What else am I going to be doing in the mornings while you guys are at school? And, I could do some stuff around the house. I could do some other job, but this one checks a lot of boxes. So it seems like I don't know, in trying to play the cost benefits game or the pros and cons, it's a pretty even match. And so I'm going to stay with it for a little while. Maybe we can pay off the house a little early, or we could save up for getting mom a new car or something like that.
What is the first? My second question is: so we are heading to Disney.
Yes, we are,
because of what we got from Christmas. What is the first thing you want to head to?
Well, by design, the thing that I'm most excited about is going to be our last day, because that's when we're going to go to Hollywood, MGM, whatever it is, to go to the Star Wars part. That's my most excited. There's a couple things, because I went a couple times when I was a kid. We used to live down there, me and Nana and Papa and them. And
I'm assuming you went there a ton.
Right. We would get season passes for the summer. We would go 5-10 times over the summer because it was close. And then last time I was there, we were down there for a band trip in college. But I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for you guys and to enjoy it with you guys specifically.
For the first time. Well, for us.
For you guys, right. And so I'm excited to be a part of your experience in it, I guess. The things that you have a really good time with and that you really enjoy and that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then the Hall of Presidents. I want to see the Hall of Presidents because it's funny. So that's an inside joke. But all right, what else you got?
This isn't really a question right now, but to be honest, I feel like the Star Wars part on the last day is going to be super fun too.
Right, because we'll already be checked out of the hotel and we can hide in there and stay in the park overnight and live in the Millennium Falcon. It's going to be awesome.
Also, I've seen a YouTuber do it, and I saw that there was the blue milk and green milk, and
yeah, it's very
And also, there was like an app where you can get special stuff.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw a video with that on it too. I'm super stoked to do it. It's not that far away. How many days you got?
I'm pretty sure so the last time I checked it was 50, but I'm pretty sure it's like 48 or something.
Yeah, it's less than 2 months, so it's gonna be a big deal. All right, man. Well, we appreciate you sitting in with us.
Welcome.
All right, have a good time. Kick ass on that puzzle.
I will.
I know you will.
We haven't gotten much done so far.
But you just started, and I interrupted your puzzle building to come down and help us.
I mean, yeah.
All right. Later, Tater.
Later.
Love you.
Love you.
All right, Sam. How you doing, buddy?
All right. Doing okay.
Lily. Sam.
Little Lily.
All right. So what are your thoughts on the school situation? I mean, obviously it doesn't directly affect you, given that you don't have kids in the schools, but...
I don't know how you expect me to respond to that.
I don't know. I'm just curious if you have any thoughts on it. I know Bob Thomas sent out an email.
Not surprising. I saw there was I don't know if they were thinking about it or they were going to, because I guess they have to apply school by school to go to virtual.
Right, but there's
2 schools right now that went virtual.
I don't know about that part of it, but for us, it's a big issue. If they say we're going virtual, they don't have their computers. They took them up before Christmas, and they won't let them take them home. And so, if the point is to give another week or so to let everything kind of pass and whatever, how are we going to get the computers without getting everybody together right in the middle of this period of cleansing, for lack of a better word?
Yeah.
So I'm curious about how that's going to pan out as well.
I heard there was, I guess, just not enough subs for even just the random call outs. Right.
And then you have the additional layers of sickness. Because, I mean, I don't know, this Omicron thing's going crazy. I
don't know how they do, substitutes in general. Because, of course, most teachers don't like to call out anyway. And you really don't know until, that morning of. So I'm assuming there's, a scramble in that school's office to all of a sudden try to start calling these people that are supposed to be just sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting for a sub job to pop
essentially,
up.
I knew somebody that was a sub. Yeah, so, but they said that they'd worked almost every day, but it would be they would either call you if they could, they'd call you the night before and schedule you.
Right.
And so they have all the principals or whatever, however exactly it works, has a master list.
Yeah. And
so obviously there's some people that are going to be better at filling certain positions, the people lower on the list are the more generic, where they come and show a movie instead of actually teach the class.
Yeah.
But this teacher's capable of it, so we call them first. And from what I get, from what I remember, it was something about that you had a certain amount of time to say yes or no. Basically, so they're not waiting on you, and then you say yes, and they already called somebody else. Yeah. And so it's yes or no. And so
you got 5 minutes to respond.
But essentially, the gist I got from the person is that if you're a good sub, you always come in when called and stuff like that. You're working almost every day. It's full time still. It's just you're in a different classroom. Sometimes you cover one classroom for a week because the teacher's out. The oldest one's teacher. The Friday before the long weekend for Martin Luther King, had her baby shower, in-class baby shower, going away party because she's having a baby and she's going to be out for the next 2 months or whatever anyway. And so, that's one sub off the docket because somebody's going to come in and fill in her classroom for the rest of the year.
Right.
Which honestly, I don't know.
They probably figured that out months in advance.
Right, but anyway. I'm also sure that they have, I don't know how many teachers you think in the school system have a baby every year. Probably a good handful.
Sure.
On the reg, so but again, that's on top of everything else going on, and so I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. There's part of me that feels like it's a blue flu almost. This is a teachers union play. I have nothing to base that on other than I'm making shit up.
All right, as long as you're willing to admit it.
I know.
That you're
I'm just saying. This is one of these things that like sometimes things like this happen, and my my great English mind kind of tweaks a little conspiracy button, and I go, well, maybe, we'll see.
Yeah,
no, we probably won't.
They're calling out for the fun of it, because even when they call out, they don't have to do work, right?
I don't know.
They don't have to keep up with their lesson plans. They just get to put everything on hold.
I don't know.
They get to hit the pause button.
I mean, I guess it depends on who the sub comes in for, because if it's a sub that can pick up their lesson plan and continue, then no, the lesson plan continues. They just have to pick up when they come back.
Okay, so that reinforces your argument.
I don't know. It doesn't. That doesn't go a yay or nay against my argument.
I can't remember if it was earlier this week or maybe last week, but I think it was in one of the Massachusetts school districts, that they passed some temporary law that allowed state workers to come in and help fill in as substitutes. I know it was probably like a month or two ago they were using the National Guard to drive school buses because they were low on school bus drivers.
Yeah. I mean, I think that part at least rolls into the Great Resignation and all the other stuff going on. That's one of those. I think the school bus drivers are some of it is sickness and stuff like that, but some of it is through this pandemic. Like a lot of people, they go, this job sucks. I don't get paid very well. I put up with a lot of crap from kids. I don't want to go back to that.
Right.
And so you put that on, and now we have this run of Omicron and much more people getting sick with it, and trying to be, appropriate and take the protocols and stay out for as long as they can or need to, so they're safe to come back to work and kind of stuff like that. And, I don't know, because to me, I guess the big question in all of this is, we're still in it. We still got to deal with it as we deal with it. But what changes in the future? Like, how much, do we set up structures in place so when and if something like this happens again, we have a plan for it? Because realistically, at least historically, it'll be another 100 years. Well,
I'd like to think that some people are asking those questions.
Right.
That when something, not necessarily, this specific thing, not necessarily an illness, but whatever happens, are we ready in case we have to adjust how we normally do things?
Yeah.
And how quickly can we adjust that we don't have this breakdown of normalcy, basically.
Yeah. Because I think there's like I said, I think there's a lot of parts and pieces at play in this. I think the schools are just one of many that are having issues of not being functionally deep enough to function, like when something hits. I mean, essentially, for lack of a better word, we had our small business version of it, where we had to go through on some staff and stuff like that, and we had to do a lot of shuffling to do it. And just out of stubbornness from Max and I, we were like, we're not closing. We'll cover it ourselves. And I had 3 days in a row where I did the day job, got home, maybe stuck a nap in. Wednesday, I got home, did an interview, maybe snuck a nap in, and went and worked till close on that one.
Can't remember if you snuck a nap in?
I don't. No, I don't. I really don't remember if I did or not. I tried to every day, but I don't And well, again, on top of that, with the kids home,
right?
With the kids who are at school, sometimes I can sneak a nap in between getting home and before they get home from school. Little E there is notorious for me snoozing on the couch and walking up and tapping me on the shoulder, like, "Hey, Dad, can I have a snack?" And it's like, right after lunch, it's like, didn't you just eat lunch or something like that? And it's like, I'm not trying to be, whatever, but it's like almost exclusively 30 seconds after I think I actually fell asleep is when he goes, "Hey, Dad."
Yeah.
So I blame that on the schools too.
Go, he's snoring. I'm hungry.
Yeah. So it has begun officially. I have caught my first campaign bullshittery. Let me find who it is. There's a person, I'll just leave the names out for now. I'll talk to him about it when I get a chance to talk to him. There's an individual running for county commission who has laid all the ills of the schools on Mayor Jacobs and the current county commission. Oh, you know what? I take that back. It is, I can't say the name because it's the Knox Stems page. They're the ones that are there. Yeah, right here. Their most recent post says, quote, "Glenn Jacobs wants to defund." Oh, that's a different one. Sorry. That's a different one that they're wrong about as well. Same problem. I mean, so yeah, same issue. It's the Knox Stems are running their anti-mayor, current mayor, because they have at least a mayor already on the docket and ready to go that's running against Mr. Jacobs. And so the Knox Dems are saying that Glenn Jacobs... Well, I mean, it could be true. This is part of the problem, and this is the thing. The quote is, Glenn Jacob wants to defund our public schools and send your tax dollars to ritzy private schools. We won't let that happen. Glenn Jacobs has zero power to do what they're saying. He might want to do that, but he can't. Not inside the job title. He is obligated by state law that a certain percentage of budget goes to Knox County schools. He can't make that decision.
Did you already throw that in there?
Do what?
Did you already throw that in there?
At their thing?
Yeah.
I did. I posed. I politely asked a question. I think. I don't know. I start to comment on things often, and then I stopped.
I'm glad you caught yourself.
No, I did. I actually did it. So.
I mean, before you at least paused and thought
okay.
For a second.
So yeah. So a person named Glenn asked, "Has Mayor Jacobs given a reason?" Carmichael responds, "There's literally no reason that this would be acceptable." So I go and I say, "Well, Lee has a valid question. Acceptable or not, it'd be nice to know what Mayor Jacobs' reason for it is." And then I follow up with that. And if he does want to, quotes, how do you think he's going to do it? Because again, maybe I'm wrong, because I'm really good at being wrong about a lot of things. But to my understanding, the power of Knox County Mayor's office can't do anything about schools, and school funding for that matter, unless he changes some tax code stuff to reduce our total tax income as a county so that the percentage goes down of what the county has to commit to schools. That's the only way. And so if you're going to do that, it's a much easier argument of Knoxville Mayor Glenn Jacobs, or Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs wants to defund Knox County, period. It's just that this is what pisses me off. And it's like, do this on a school board race. It's still inaccurate, but at least it's close. Yeah. If you're going to make this play, this is you run this against an Eddie Manis or Gloria Johnson or Sam McKenzie, any of the House reps that are in town that are up this year. I don't think there's any state senators that are on the ballot this time around. It's only the House reps because they're every 2 years. So Manis, a different Carmichael, which isn't the one that was mentioned here. There's a farmer, but he's not quite in Knox County. That's a whole separate argument I had with Matt Shears. But that right there, that this is the party doing it, it's the same thing that pisses me off all the time. If you're the party, you should know better. I mean, you should just know better, and this is shitty. And again, I know the GOP is going to do their fair share of the same thing. This isn't a partisan thing for me. This isn't me picking on the Dems because I don't like them. This is me picking on the Dems because there's an example right in front of me of where, of all people to put some shit like this out, it's them knowing that they're full of it.
I just don't know why they wouldn't put any kind of reference into it. Reference a news article or something.
Yeah, fair,
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
But even so, even if Mayor Jacobs said the fucking words,
I mean, like even like the national TV ads still have that like hyperlink on there from like Newsweek article or whatever,
right? Or so something like Max would send us from IHateRackheads.com.
We're never gonna let that one go.
No, man, I haven't put it in. That's the first time I've said it this year, so I at least have one a year now. But yeah, I mean, again, like my point further is, though, even if Mayor Jacobs is on record saying that, which I know he's not directly, but even if he says, "Hey, I think private schools are a better option. I think the voucher system is a better option," that has nothing to do with the fucking job of mayor. Now, again, let's play I don't know. I guess I get it in the sense that, because I know what Matt will say in response when I grill him on it when I get a chance. He's going to be like, but his platform matters. Because if he wants to do it, that's going to leak over into the other Republicans. And it's like, well, or the Republicans are leaking on him, and that's why he's doing it. Either way. But that's going to be the response. But it's like, no, that's a fucking lie. What you should be saying is stuff that he can and can't do. And then what you should do is when he speaks out of turn, like he says, I want to defund schools, which we don't think he actually said. But if Mayor Jacobs says, I want to defund schools, your response to that be like, look how terrible Mayor Jacobs is and how inept at his job he is, because he wants to defund your schools and it's not in his job title. Why would you want this guy to be your mayor? You have two avenues, if he actually did it, to attack him. But instead, you just go whole cloth bullshit with something he can't do. But this leads people into thinking he can. And that's what bothers me. And again, there is a commissioner that's doing the same thing, laying everything at Mayor Jacobs' feet, laying everything at the current county commission's feet, and it's like, Mayor Jacobs had nothing to do with the mask policy at schools, that when Knox County schools decided to pull the masks, and then the lawsuit came and the mask came back in or whatever. That had nothing to do with Mayor Jacobs' office.
Right.
Now, yes, he has been very upfront from the get-go that he doesn't like the mandatory masking, he doesn't like a vaccine passport, he doesn't like all these things, and he's against those things. But for what's actually happening in our schools right now, none of it has anything to do with him. The school board may be influenced by speaking to him in person, but it's not his job. And that's the line I'm trying to get to. That is what drives me crazy, because we're allowing people to influence things that aren't their job because they have a job. And that's stupid. We put this person here to do this thing. This is the job. We put this person here to do this thing. Now, this person is allowed to have an opinion, but it doesn't mean they're allowed to influence. And we shouldn't let them influence, and we shouldn't let the people be influenced by that person. So if Christy is talking to Mayor Jacobs, and Mayor Jacobs says a thing, and Christy acts on it, she's a fucking idiot, because that's not his job to tell her what to do. She shouldn't be responding to him that way. That's wrong. She doesn't work for him. She wasn't elected by him. She was elected by us. And just because they were both elected by us doesn't mean they're both right all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Obviously, this gets to this is a trigger point for me, I guess, for lack of a better word. It's obnoxious. It's dumb, and it's dumber that a party is going to, that both parties, and again, I'm not trying to pick on the Dems here, but the parties are perpetuating it by running fucking campaign shit like this. Stop perpetuating it. Get a candidate that can beat Mayor Jacobs, and let him beat Mayor Jacobs on what the fucking job of mayor is. Because then I, at least, as one of very few people in Knox County, can be like, this is what the person can and can't do. They ran on those subjects. I like that. Because if their candidate is going to run this same campaign, I'm not voting for him. I don't know that I'm going to vote for Mayor Jacobs either. I don't know who I'm voting for yet. I haven't gotten a whole bunch of campaign stuff going yet.
Right, we're coming into a contentious election, so I'm going to go ahead and forewarn you. There's going to be more bullshit like this.
Right, and I'm going to be...
learn to take a breath.
No, I'm going to keep getting mad about it. It drives me fucking nuts. It's a disservice to you and I as voters.
It's a waste of your energy.
Hopefully not. Hopefully somebody else hears what I'm bitching about and agrees with me, and they start demanding that they correct them, that somebody corrects it. Because, again, the Knox News Sentinel's not going to correct it. Compass might. Knox TN Today or whatever the super partisan little mini papers that are running around town, they're going to run with it every way that's positive to their team.
We get paid to run those ads.
And not just the ads, there's stories too. I can't remember. There's Tennessee Hollers one. There's Knox TN Today. There's a couple of different ones. There's a super conservative one. There's a couple of super liberal ones. They're going to run their stories, and they're going to find a story of, I keep saying Knox TN Today, and I'm not sure if that's the right one or not. The one that the Betty Bean, who fucking hates me, works for. Wow. She writes for somebody, and and that's what it got in the big tiff with the Eric Wader interview about misquoting this, that, and the other, and all this kind of shit. And it's like, I've read some of your work, Betty, and I've been following you on Facebook for a while and watching your stuff, and you're super partisan. That's fine. You can be super partisan, but you don't get to say you're a news person at the same time. Not a believable one. When I read your stories, and they're very clearly partisan. Right. It's not that I'm with or against your party. It's you're very clearly partisan. And shit like the mayor could defund your schools.
You're not giving me objective news.
Right. And so Betty Bean's going to run a story about Glenn Jacobs trying to defund schools. And, it's bullshit. And it pisses me off. And so if I'm the only person in town that's going to scream about it, hopefully somebody hears me. Because it's dumb. It's really dumb. There. I took a breath.
Awesome. Thank you.
Change subjects so I don't keep yelling about it.
I think what else is going on. We talked about shortages. There was an article I read yesterday about the local postal service. Apparently one of the local news agency or news organizations, I don't want to say caught them in a lie, but I guess there was a report that a couple of them had signs up that saying they were limiting hours. And then I don't know if it was a local or state or federal rep that was saying no, we haven't had hours affected. But apparently there was someday last week or at some point recently where the news organization actually went to one of the places that had some things and they were limiting hours from 12 to 3 or whatever. And they came outside those hours and the post office was actually closed.
Okay.
The post office, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
But they were actually closed, and there was a report of some lady that said her and her neighbors are only getting mail every other day.
Yeah, there's some of that here. I've again, Betty was talking about that. I think it was Betty. Yeah, I'll say it was Betty, whether it was or not. Was talking about how she only gets mail Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
I'm going to say whether it was or not.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's her. But It was just weird because, like, at least pre-Christmas, we were getting 2 a day out here. Like, I'm pretty sure they had a regular mail and an Amazon mail running out here every day pre-Christmas. And and then post-Christmas, they've been coming late. Like, we had one like 9 o'clock, and it had a package, and so they came and knocked on the door. Rowdy goes apeshit, like Rowdy does for everything. And, like, and it was a school night. We're trying to put the kids to bed, and Rowdy's just because there's somebody knocking at the door at 9 o'clock, and we're freaking out. It's like, who the fuck's nobody knocks on nobody shows up here other than you. And so who the hell's knocking on the door at 9 at night? I went into I upgraded our internet. We've got, because remember we were talking over the summer they were putting fiber in.
Yeah.
So I've been getting spammed to death about fiber's now available in your neighborhood, and I was like, okay, no install fee, equipment cost is the same. I think it's $5 cheaper a month for actual service
for the first year.
I don't know. Again,
it goes back for new customers and for the first year.
It goes to that KUB broadband, KUB getting into broadband thing that I'm assuming that AT&T pushed their fiber out quicker. They want to get me in and comfortable, right, so that when KUB is available, I'm like, man, I don't want to mess with the switch shit.
Right.
So I'll just stay with my AT&T service. And for now it's working. We'll see how it goes when KUB actually gets out here and does their thing. But where did I start that story? I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, got gig speed, or I don't know. I got fiber now.
Mailman showing up.
Oh, yeah, mailman shows up late. I don't know, but yeah, the mailman's been really late, really, really late all the time. I guess I just wanted to brag about my super speed internet.
Oh, sweet.
But yeah, so I had Ardino Cole running for chancellor, and so I'm a little bit more understanding of what a chancery judge is. And then I did Brianna Holloway. She's running for School Board District 1. That was kind of cool. Went out and got the mobile set up. Sounds a little rough. Doesn't sound as good as a normal episode, but went to get to sit in her store. We sat in her store and set up and chatted and made her kid late for basketball practice.
Get kicked off the team.
Yeah. He didn't want to go. That was really funny. I was like, man, I'm sorry we ran long and made you late for practice. Like, I don't want to go anyway. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to get out of here because that's something you guys need to deal with that's out of my hands. So I apologize for my part. I don't know what else to tell you.
Don't make me the cause of this.
It's not my fault you don't want to go. It's just my fault you're going to be late. But I don't know, it's interesting.
Has his judgeship been a judge prior, or
no?
This would be his first.
And so he corrected a thing. And so for the sake of corrections from a couple of last couple episodes, and we were going through job titles and the job requirements pages. State of Tennessee, you have to be a resident for 5 years, but you only have to have a license for a year before you can run for judge.
Your bar license,
right? You only have to be a practicing attorney for a year, which apparently the guy that's in the current Pete Pridemore, who's the current, and he's running. He had his for like 13 months. Like, there was a little bit of a question on whether or not he had his, because he's never really practiced. He had his license, but he didn't really practice in that stretch. And essentially the argument, at least, and I'll talk to him about it when I get here. The argument, at least, was that he's not really a lawyer at all. He just went and got his license so that he could run because he knew he was going to run as a Republican, and it was the guy that he was replacing was more of a Democrat kind of thing. So he was banking on the fact that the R next to his name was going to beat him, and it did. Whether that was the truth or not, that was 8 years ago. I don't know. So
I wonder if our public defender guy is up for election this year.
Yeah, Lutton. I reached out to him. He's coming in. I got him scheduled for a couple weeks out.
Awesome.
He doesn't have anybody running against him. I reached out to Sharif. Excuse me. He has not currently pulled the petition. Right now, Lutton's running unopposed. So I don't know, but I reached out to Sharif because I was like, hey, man, I saw that you're not running. It's cool. Whatever you want to do is fine. But if you don't care, I'd love to, catch up with you, A. But B, I'd like some of your input because you're a lot closer to understanding what the job is to help me fill out the sheet. And I sent him a link to the sheet and be like, hey, help me fill out the blanks here.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so I don't know. It's interesting. It's one of those. It's just like a lot of other ones. There's not a lot of discretion. I mean, there's the law is the law. There's not a lot of gray area, and so like as we were talking, I was like, hey, like, what is the breakdown? Like, what if you get the job or I get the job, what can you legitimately do differently than I could do? It's like, etiquette and timeliness and scheduling and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, I get those are respectable things, but I feel like anybody else is going to say that. Like, yeah, I want to try to get, people file a claim and whatever. I want to get them in court as quickly as they can, get it resolved, and let them move on with their lives. I don't think anybody's going to be like, I want shit to take forever.
Yeah.
I want it to be a terribly long, slow process that everybody hates so they don't do it if they don't have to. And so, again, I believe him. I don't think he's lying to me, but as far as, the way the justice system works in that subset, there's all sorts of different appeals processes, and it's pretty clear that, because a lot of it's probate, which is, I didn't know what probate was because I'm an idiot.
I've heard of a probate judge, but
probate's just, it's wills. It's post-death settling of affairs for somebody that dies.
Professional batement? No.
I don't. I thought that was a living trust. Or not a living trust, but a trust or a will took care of all that. But essentially, it goes to probate court, which a chancellor oversees. If there is no will, there are laws on the books that clearly state this is how it breaks down. And it goes pretty deep. Like he said, it went pretty deep. But it's like, if there's no direct heir, if there's no surviving direct heir or something like that, there's this process of going here, there, and everywhere. Then that gets into the public notice thing, where at some point, if there's no heir to it, there's a public notice and they'll sell it or something. I don't remember exactly. We didn't go that far down the rabbit hole.
Right. Kind of a semi-side topic, but still kind of on this judge's topic. Kind of a consequence of the pandemic is there's been a lot more court things that have been online, and it's actually brought about like semi-small YouTube stars out of some of these judges. You can actually get online and actually watch some of their daily things because it's open records. I mean,
right.
you have the ability to go into court into most courts and kind of just sit in on it. Those court proceedings are open to the public, but there's some people that have kind of become famous just by them being just good, kind of wholehearted judges, and you actually get to see kind of what they're doing.
Oh, there's that one guy. That guy is and this is where I got.
Okay.
There's a YouTube, or it's a YouTube,
Judge Middleton,
maybe, and he's always really nice.
Yeah, it's kind of got a little gray ponytail.
Yeah, I think. Anyway, but yeah, he's always really cool. There's one dude just got back or just got out of jail, I think is what he was saying, and he's like, I can't remember, some traffic stop, but that's the not small claims court. That's not the same office. That doesn't go through Chancery, because he was talking about that because I asked Jamie before.
This guy's doing criminal court cases.
Circuit Chancellor, County General Sessions. Because General Sessions Judge, this is, I need to go back and listen to double check, but what he was telling me is that, criminal court, you're always going to have a jury. Chancery Court, you don't have a jury. General Sessions, you don't have a jury. General Sessions is usually small claims, traffic, stuff like that. That's where that happens. And that's where the judge sits there.
I think I saw something about that. If the penalty is 6 months or more, if you could be facing over 6 months or over a year in jail, and I think it does vary a little bit state to state. But in most states, if you're looking at more than a year of jail time, that's when you can request a jury trial.
Requires a jury or something like that.
Yeah, something below that. In some states, I don't think you have the ability to request a jury
trial,
or maybe in certain situations.
Yeah, it's legal, so of course it's going to be super complicated.
Right.
But yeah, so,
it's more just kind of cut out some of the bullshit of you got a traffic ticket. I'm sorry, you're not kicking this up to a jury trial for a speeding ticket.
Right, but like you say, practically speaking, 70, 80% of Chancery Court stuff is family divorce. So whether it's directly the divorce proceedings themselves or,
having to make a decision upon
an unmarried couple that's fighting over custody,
right?
A couple that has now been divorced that wants to adjust custody rules, all that stuff goes through him or his court, excuse me. And what he was saying, a good way to look at it is it's the court of record. So a lot of times, it's a starting point in the sense that there is something under dispute, and then whatever the resolution is by the Chancery Court, that is now the record of that. And then if you want to fight about it in the future, that's still your, because Property disputes is another one that he's talking about. It's like if you have a large tract of land and your neighbor and you're fighting over this wedge back in the corner, and it's like, well, the surveyor says it's here. On the preponderance of the evidence, this is what it finds. This is the action. This is the line. Here's where you go from here. And then if you guys want to continue to fight about it and take it and appeal it and whatever, that's that. But now it's on record that this is the line. Right. And so that's some of the stuff that he talked about that they do there. Seemed like a legit guy. He's been practicing in Knoxville for like 25 years. Just one of those curiosities that came to me while I was talking. I was like, well, what do you do with your active cases when you get elected? And he's like, there's a time period. I'd have to look it up. I don't know exactly. He's like, it's either 60 days or 6 months. He's like, that you could still practice. But essentially, as of right now, it's only Republicans running. So the primary is all that really matters. And so come May, and that primary comes, if there's no independent or Democrat running, he already knows he won, or whoever will already know they won. And so they'll take May to early September and just stop, just finish those cases that are open.
Not take on new cases.
Right. He said he's already quit taking cases. Like, he doesn't take any big cases. He's got small cases he's still taking.
Right. Ones that he knows that can be done in a few weeks.
Right. That won't be like a 2-year big drawn-out thing. Yeah. Because contract law is another big one that they do. So if there's disputes between like a contractor that is building a building and some subcontractors, and it's like, well, you got paid to do this job, and they're fighting over it. Like, that's
contract dispute, yeah.
Right? Like landowner, like, because he was saying like one of the things that he brings to the table, according to him, is that you get into some of these contract disputes. It's not just party A versus party B. You get into somebody building a new building. You got the owner of the building, the general contractor, the subcontractor, a tenant maybe because it's being sublet or being. All right,
so you're looking at multiple contracts. That's
right, and so part
in the event of this,
right? Part of that job is to get all those parties onto the same thing, whatever the thing in dispute is, and settle that dispute so that all parties are clear about where they stand moving forward from here with that particular item. So anyway, interesting, neat. I still don't know what to vote on per se, but at least I have some framework of what the job is, and I feel better about it. So hopefully I can get the other two that are running.
I know you're a judge, but I don't know what kind of judge or what you do. Do you just wear a black robe and just wait for cases to come in?
Slam a hammer on the table and say, "That's what I said."
Slam a jammer.
Deal with it. I have spoken.
You're out of order. You're out of order.
So I've got Kim Frazier on Monday. Devin, I think it's Devin Driscoll. I don't have my full... I left my petition sheet upstairs. Hold on, here it is. Where is he? I think it's Devin Driscoll. I got Sheriff Jimmy J.J. Jones coming in another week.
See, current, or that's the former?
He's the former.
Okay.
I don't know. I will ask that question. Like, do you still get referred to as sheriff officially? Or do I need to refer to you as former sheriff? I'm sure he'll go with future sheriff. That would probably be the right political answer.
Sheriff to be.
I can't find him on here, but Driscoll running for something. Because the sheet I have printed in front of me was from like a week prior to when I printed it off again, and that's upstairs. Devin Driscoll, yeah, he's Commission 11 is what he's running for. And then Mr. Jackson is running for Board of Ed. Reginald Jackson's running for Board of Ed 1 against Brianna and Reverend John Butler. Those are scheduled. And then Eric Lutton there on the 4th. Christy on the 2nd. And then Dominique, what is her last name? She's running for Commission 7, I think. No, she's school board. Dominique Oakley, school board 7.
To catch a little bit of the state level stuff earlier this week.
Yeah,
wasn't anything crazy. I did see our local guy Lafferty I think he's the chair of the. I thought it was the education committee. I was about to text him and be like, "Hey, this guy's in the state level education, but it's higher education." So I think it's all just
college rules and stuff like that. Yeah. Because we've got.
Like, hey, we got a local guy on the education. Oh, never mind. It's higher education subcommittee.
Yeah,
I did see that one pantsing jackass. I was kind of hoping, because I thought it was like the opening proceedings. I was kind of hoping they would censure him, and I'm like, I wonder if they even tried or even thought about that shit. It's like, you're really making us Tennesseans look like shitheads.
So we got the full slate of Tennessee House Reps, Senate 5 and 7. That's both here in Knox County. So I misspoke earlier. Massey is the only one on the off cycle this year. So 6 and Massey's off. 5 and 7 are both in. I don't even know who sells those right now. And then U.S. Rep District 2, which I think is out. I guess it's here. It's on our ballot. I don't know where U.S. Rep. I don't know where U.S. District 2 is. Ugh.
There's one weird, like, Straw Plains one that comes into Knox County, but it's district, I think, goes outside of Knox County as well.
Well, like, I know, I don't remember what the number is, but McNally out of Oak Ridge goes all the way downtown. Like, I guess it goes all the way through Western and takes a little chunk, like 4th and Gill. And 4th and Gill and Manhattan Project are in the same state Senate district. You know, and I get it. We've talked about gerrymandering here a bunch of times. It's just one of those things to me that I don't disagree that it's a thing and that it affects what you can and can't do, but it also seems like a little bit of a cop-out when you're on the losing side of gerrymandering, which Republicans are far more adept and willing to gerrymander. Although it's jury? I don't know. Jerry. No, it's not. It's not, because well, I don't know if it is or not. Scott at Compass did a whole thing about it, the history of it, and it's not Jerry. It's I don't remember. It's like that. It was a guy in like think New York State or whatever, and this was like Constitution era, who didn't like the 2-party system, like voiced concerns about the idea of gerrymandering, and then was like super prolific at doing it once it got into place. Once like the structure got into place, and it's like, well, this is a thing, we're going to do it. So I told you guys it was a bad idea. I'll show you how bad an idea it was.
I'm playing by the rules that we set.
But it sounds more like, apparently it's more like Gary. And so apparently somewhere in New York where like his district home was, they have like it's gerrymandering. But nonetheless, it's gross. I'm not
saying Gary or Jerry.
I don't.
Gerrymandering.
I wouldn't dare pretend that it's not gross. It's wholly disgusting. It's a terrible practice that I wish wasn't part of the game. But at the same time, it kind of feels like
the U.S. I mean, there's some crazy looking.
I agree, but I also feel like it's a cop out. I really do. I feel like it's an excuse for losing, and it's like I agree that it affects the end game, but how many people are we talking about here? Like, how many people are we really talking about shifting from A to B? Some of them are pretty drastic, but at the same time, okay, you would have won one seat if all these little chunks weren't there. You know, like when they do all these little finger annexes where they go in and like McNally's that we're talking about goes all the way downtown Knoxville, even though he's technically Anderson County's. More or less, it's Anderson County's his whole territory, and then he just has this one little chunk of Knox County that takes out the bluest of the blue subsections of Knox County and splits it up into 3 chunks. If that one chunk was all together, you might, because I really think I think it'd be a good one to talk to Matt about and get the data sheet out and look at, because I really think that if you did a more reasonable picture or more reasonable map where we didn't have that downtown section, 4th and Gill, Magnolia section chopped up, and just did one that was just a circle around Knoxville, as clean of a circle as you can, that had the correct population, you're still not going to have an overwhelmingly blue district. It might be leaning blue. And so what you're asking for is a maybe win in one district if you districted better. And it's like, well, okay. But I don't think I think, again, I would imagine that it's a significantly different number in other places, but the one that I'm looking at here, it feels to me like if you did the same thing, if you did it more reasonably, that it'd be a purple district at best. Because just to get the correct population to it, you're going to have to get into the big sections of northeast Knox County or west Knox County or something like that, just to get I think it's like a 280 million or 280,000, I think is what Massey said, something like that, per district in the state for Senate. 280,000, yeah, not million. That'd be a lot. But so to get 280,000 out of Knox County, if Knoxville is the center of it, you're going to get into Halls and Powell and way south Knox County, or way down Chapman your way. When you get out of the urban part into the more rural part, or at least suburban part, you'd have to get pretty far out west here to get that chunk, because it's half of Knox County's residency essentially. So there should be 2. If we split it down the middle, then it's 2 red ones too. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of.
Like if you just chop Knox County in half,
right,
it's going to go through downtown, and so half that, I mean, I guess my point is that the argument's always we would win if not for this, and it's like I don't know if I agree with that part of the argument, at least not from what I see here. We could win a seat in Knox County if they didn't mess with the districts this way. It's like I think you might win. I don't think you would win. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of. I mean, a lot of times when they're gerrymandering, I mean, they're going into a predominantly red or blue state because both sides do it.
Right.
And it's essentially just kind of trying to shave off enough to where, I mean, they say it tries to make it a more level playing field or whatever, but generally they're picking predominantly one side or the other area and trying to shave off just enough.
We looked it up. There was a good simple graphic for it. It was like 10 dots, 6 were blue, 4 were red or whatever. And if you circle the dots in a certain way, so if you divide it into 10 dots, you'd have 3 groupings of 4 and 3 or whatever. Right. If depending on how you circle it, you could make 2 of them red and 1 of them blue, or all 3 of them blue, or 2 blue, 1 red, or whatever. You could manipulate the circling to do it, but that's assuming that a bulk population is all blue. And maybe Brianna that I talked to.
Well, I mean, I would say most of the data they're going off of are previous elections.
I think what they're going off of is a precinct. This precinct, because that's how they have to. That's what they have to do to subdivide.
That's the data they have.
And right, and so that precinct voted for Biden.
Well, see, they've got to go off registered voters, but what they're really looking at is predominance of how many people in that district are voting for in which way. Right.
Like I said, I think it's by precinct, because I think from what Chris was telling me about how they do redistricting is they have to do it by precinct. You can't, they do split precincts sometimes. If a certain precinct gets a huge population influx, they'll split it into 2 precincts. Right. That's one of the methods. That didn't happen this time around because COVID got the census status in late. They didn't have a chance to subdivide precinct. That's why the county level one was so funky, because they ended up having to take a whole precinct out of Holston Hills and move it or whatever. I think that was the one that was everybody was getting all bent out of shape about it.
Don't remember.
But the main thing I got from it is they didn't get a chance to split up precincts like they normally do. Normally, it would have been just a half a neighborhood, not a whole neighborhood. And so, again, I think the gerrymandering, they're looking at the population at large, but I think the main thing in the dots example, the dots are precincts. This precinct voted blue. This precinct voted red. Well, if we shift that blue one into this group of red ones, the red ones will overwhelm that blue one. But that's all on the assumption. And I guess this is what the bigger problem is to me. The assumption is that precinct that was red is going to be red next time. And it's going to be red time after that. Because the only way gerrymandering works that way is if people are consistently voting for the people you want them to.
All right. Sure, they look at those numbers.
Right. But I think that's my issue at large, is that this just lazy voting thing, because, again, I'm blaming this. These are things that's just, whether Mayor Jacobs wants to get rid of money in the schools or not, Mayor Jacobs is going to be the R on the ticket. He's a registered libertarian, so apparently, but he's going to be the R on the ticket, and we're going to say okay to that, and we vote R's in this town. That's just stupid. We're not taking the time to actually look at what matters and what they can and can't do. Again, I'm going to go back on my rant. He can talk about schools. He can talk about this, that, and the other. Let's be clear about what he can and can't do about those things.
I agree.
And I think, but we let him get away with it. Knox Dems is getting away with it. Nobody that commented on that Knox Dems post, even me, because I was careful not to be completely anti whatever, so they don't turn me into you're a right-wing dickbag, whatever. But even the Knox County Democratic Party is perfectly willing to do the bullshit too. And so, who's going to correct the record? Really shouldn't be me. Might have to be. It really shouldn't be me. We're trying to get Max to run for trustee because I don't want to. I mean, I kind of do just because I think it'd be interesting and fun just to play the process out and be a part of the process. But if I'm going to do it, I want to win just because I want to win. But then I don't want to win because it'll fuck with the podcast.
All right. Never mind.
What? I think I'm capable. You don't think I could do it?
That's not what I was saying.
What are you saying then? Don't say nothing, and then I'm going to guess until you tell me what you were saying.
Don't worry about it. I think you definitely have the mathematical skills, I think, to be a trustee.
I don't think
not knowing fully what.
I don't think you need math skills. I think that's part of it. I don't think you need math skills, and I think that's one of the.
They want you to not know how to do math.
I'm not saying they don't want you. You don't. That math isn't important.
Right.
I'm just saying I don't think it's an accounting job. I think a lot of these jobs are managerial. I have a staff of. The staff doesn't change. Maybe a few people do, but for the most part, there's a staff of people in the trustee's office that Mr. Schaus is coming out, and as of right now, Mr. Biggs is going in because nobody's running against him. That staff's going to continue doing the same thing for the most part. You know, if you're like Parks and Recs, I'm sure they subdivide it by the different subdepartments that the county has. They have their own set of books, and then they blend the books in the end into one big book. And so you'll have somebody that's overseeing Parks and Rec. You'll have somebody that's overseeing, road crew maintenance, and you have somebody that's overseeing long-term projects and big budget projects and all those different parts and pieces. And those are the actual accountants. Those are the people that are actually putting the numbers in the boxes, making sure the ones and zeros and the decimal points are in the right places. Biggs isn't going to do any of that. He's going to take reports that are brought to him by his staff, and then he turns around and takes those reports to commission in the mayor's office and says, here's what's going on with the money, guys.
Here's what they told me what's going on.
I mean, but realistically, if at a county the size of ours, he can't know all the numbers. He can't be in all the books. It's just not physically possible. He's got to have that subdivided out. And so again, I think it's a people manager job. It's not an accounting job. You know, you don't have to be an accountant to own an accounting firm. You just have to have good accountants that work for you.
True.
And so that, again, you know, we're hiring a hiring manager almost, we're hiring an HR department. And I think that goes for a lot of them. I think the county clerk, the court clerk, the register of deeds. I think the property assessor might actually go out there and do something. But I think even that is probably only partial. I think that's probably there are actual, like, you know, assessors, or what are they called? Building inspectors, home inspectors, people that have that background that work for the assessor's office, that the property assessor oversees those people. And probably property assessor probably needs to have a little bit of maybe a realty background or something when they come in and say, this is $1 million house. And it's like, it's a 1-bedroom condo.
Right.
There's no way it's $1 million house. So, what was the one I saw? Some jackhole tore up the baseball field at Austin East. Did you see that story?
Yeah, it happened over here at Rocky Hill, too.
Did it?
Yeah.
I did not see that.
I think the one in Austin East, I think the article I read said there was 2 cars and they were able to identify one of the vehicles.
Yeah, I know. I saw they had a suspect, yeah.
No, it happened here at Rocky Hill ball fields, too. I think they said at Rocky Hill.
This week?
Last week.
Damn. How did I not hear about that one?
They said that was only maybe like a couple grand. I think they said they'd just redone the fields. But, of course, up here at Rocky Hill, they didn't have cameras or anything like that.
Well, we don't have, I
think at Austin East, they did have some cameras on the field. Because I saw there was a couple of pictures of like a pickup truck.
Yeah, I got yelled at by, I guess, some county park, or I guess city park guy, because we were over there playing in the playground, and we went on the field, and it did rain recently, so it was kind of muddy. It's like, those footprints are going to harden. It's like, well, you're going to have to tear it up anyway.
Tear what up?
The dirt, it rained on the dirt, and so like I was walking out from, because you could only go in the certain places. I was walking out to the grass in the back, and I was walking through the infield, which was all muddy, and so I was leaving big fat footprints. And it's like, well, if this is going to harden, you're going to have to come tear it up before people play ball in it anyway. You can't have an asphalt infield in a baseball game.
No, they don't. They don't take farming tines and loosen up the dirt before each game.
I don't know.
They just go out there and
but
strike the white lines.
But it's that. But I mean, it's that hard. I mean, it'd be that it'd be that hard. Ooh. Yeah. Maybe we should do.
I mean, how much money do you think these programs have?
I don't know. Not enough, honestly. But I don't know how to suss that out. I don't know how to.
I mean, I feel bad. Like when I was that age, I always like kicking the white lines and kind of fucking with those. And I'm like. I remember later, like somebody has to come out there and put those white stripes down.
I remember we all made fun of one kid on our team because his parents got him special pants so that he didn't get raspberries on his butt and his knees and stuff whenever he slid. We're like, no, that's part of why you play baseball. It's to get you to tear up to hurt yourself. What are you doing? But I mean, I remember some fields we played on when I was a kid that were like, I mean, it was almost like gravel. Like it wasn't dirt that had hardened or anything. It was like big quarter-sized rocks all over the place.
But where I was at, I mean, there was a lot more red clay in the soil, so there wasn't that much sand that was down.
But, yeah, that's baseball, people, I guess.
What's going on in Knox Vegas?
I don't know.
So they announced a coach for the One Knoxville or whatever they're calling it.
Oh, yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah.
Soccer club.
I mean, good. I hope it goes well. I hope it's a winning thing. I hope it does.
Apparently, the Smokies are changing their name.
Really?
I think I read an article about that too. Yeah, that when they
move, they're going to become
something else.
Are they dropping the Tennessee? So it'll be the Knoxville Smokies instead of the Tennessee Smokies?
They're dropping the Tennessee.
All right.
But I would think that would just be a whole kerfuffle of having to rebrand your team. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why you would change your name. You got all these people with memorabilia. I mean, maybe that makes people want to buy the new team logo. It's like, well, you got a Smokies jersey on. We're the Wildcats.
Tennessee Smokes. Tennessee.
They haven't announced a name, but yeah.
Tennessee.
Apparently, there was talk of changing the name.
Tennessee Smokies apparel will soon be retro gear. Team owner Randy Boyd, whose visions for the downtown Knoxville multi-use stadium complex has been approved, told Knox News that the minor league team will change its name to the Knoxville Smokies. Boom! I was right.
Oh.
When it moves to the old city. I mean, which is still a big deal. I mean, as far as rebranding goes, because all of their branding stuff is, what do you call it? All of their stuff has the word Tennessee in it. So, I mean, I get it. As far as changing the name, it makes sense to me. Obviously, that was my gut reaction to it. So,
yeah, I guess that makes more sense than changing the actual name of it. You do have the Chattanooga Lookouts or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it also it lends credence to the argument, at least, whether it's true or not, that Randy really wants Knoxville baseball, not Tennessee baseball, Knoxville baseball. He said it a bunch. He apparently, at least, mostly meant it. We'll see. I mean, I'm still not a fan. I'm not a big. I understand the financing probably better than most, and it's actually not a bad deal the way they have it set up. It's not going to come out of any other funding issues. It's not going to have a huge impact on anything else. And I guess if you want to get down to the brass tacks of the argument, it's why is the state willing to drop $13 million on a baseball stadium in Knox County and not $13 million on Knox County schools? Why is why are the mechanics of how this thing happened, why are they okay with it for certain things and certain people and they're not for others? That I can get behind as a conversation to have. I don't think it negates that this is probably going to be okay. I don't think it's going to be a boom thing. It's going to be crazy great. It's going to do well for exactly where it is. It's going to spread that wealth out to the immediacy around it. I think it's going to displace families. People are going to end up being priced out of their places. It's going to do some damage to the current neighborhood right there around it. As far as, I guess we'd call that damage. I don't know. Growth, gentrification, whatever term you want to call it. It's definitely going to make some of those older houses that are in there way more expensive. People are going to come in and they're going to put new houses in, or they're going to remodel these houses and they're going to go from pretty cheap houses to really expensive houses. And that's going to displace people. And there are people against that idea, and I understand it. But I guess I don't see a clear and significant loser in this thing going. Maybe there aren't as many winners as there should be, but I don't see any finite losers in this project.
Worst case scenario, who could get hold footing the bill?
We can.
The team moves here, and
right. So
nobody really ends up going down there.
Right. So
they build all these new shops that last 6 to 9 months to
new
a
shops
year,
have
but never make business.
New shops don't matter. That's on the Boyd Group and the building owner group. That's separate from the stadium itself. Will have $1 million rent annually, which I think is too low. It's been my argument from the get-go, but that's reasonable rent according to other similar sized stadiums and similar sized metropolitan areas, crap like that. So last time I had that Caldwell, Welch, and Mametov in here, and we were talking about it with some of the some of the adjustments that had gone on before the last approval thing that went through or whatever. Is it went from being $600,000 a year per municipality, so county and city each had $600,000. It's actually down like to $490 if everything goes as planned. That Knox County will have to pitch in about $500,000 a year. City of Knoxville has to pitch in about $500,000 a year as planned. Now, Smokies go bankrupt, tuck tail and run to the point of bankruptcy that they don't owe us the money moving forward or whatever. I don't think that Randy has any personal guarantees. We can't go after any of his other businesses. We can't go after Pet Safe or anything like that as part of the game. We get stuck with that other $1 million. And so presumably $500,000 to the city, $500,000 to the county. And that's assuming there's zero income from the stadium from there on out. Now, will the stadium do $2 million a year in income if it's just special events, concerts, stuff like that? If we don't sublet it to somebody else to take care of, my understanding of it, that's the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, City of Knoxville owes $1 million a year, Knox County owes $1 million a year, and then anything we do rent it out for is city county income. So if I don't know, Morgan Waller, that's a bad joke. That's the guy that got in trouble, right? The country what? Morgan Waller, that's the country guy that got in a bunch of trouble for some racist thing or some shit. Oh, right. Anyway, but so I don't know. Hootie the Blowfish come play the Knoxville Stadium or whatever, and we sell tickets and the people go to work and all that kind of thing. All that income would then go directly to the city. If we did it if the Smokies vacate and go bankrupt. I don't know if 1FC is paying any rent. I don't know what their arrangement is with the Smokies organization because that's on that side. And I'm curious to know that because that was part of my argument of why rent should be more. You've got a sublease already in place. We can do a little bit better. I'm not saying jack it up to $4 million because that would just be a mortgage payment and they could buy it themselves. Yeah. But I think, $1.5 million would have been at least something because then it would only put less than $250,000 a year on each municipality. But as of right now, that's what it reads like to me. But yeah, the surrounding buildings, all that stuff, it's nothing to do with it. Now, I guess at the same time, we don't technically have a guarantee that those are happening. I mean, Boyd and the Boyd Group and some other landowners already own those properties and want to build something on them.
Right.
And the plan is to build it all at the same time, so when the stadium opens, all these other buildings are opening. Because the Boyd Group and the baseball side of it doesn't want all the construction while baseball's going on. So even if the baseball stadium fails, we should see increased income from all the new stuff around it from the municipality standpoint. So I don't know. Again, maybe I'm an idiot and I don't understand it correctly, but to me it seems like I don't see a real loser here, even in the worst case scenario. Because, like it or not, $1 million on
worst case scenario, I would almost think it would be like the convention center all over again, where we've got this large building that nobody's using, and we spend so much money on remodeling and redoing.
Right.
And then it's just sitting there. We're still paying for it because we've got to keep it up, keep the lights on.
But I mean, we used to, at least. I don't know, and we still do. They do a lot of stuff down there now. And I think that's
We've got a lot of stuff.
That's a management issue as well, though. I mean, that's a managing the property, and that's a private company we have managed it. And again, this goes back to my universal argument.
Managing, I mean, you can beg people to come. That's not going to guarantee they're going to come in.
Well, then you charge less. I mean, we could go do this Fish and Game Expo. We can go to Nashville and go do it.
I think there's a cornhole tournament in Knoxville right now.
Probably. I mean, that's what I'm saying, though. It's like if it comes down to it and we can't get people to come, the question is why aren't people coming? Because Knoxville's too small a municipality to fill up and make it worth the promoter's time? Well, make it a cheaper rent.
We've got people coming in, but it's just not a consistent basis.
I mean, I would be curious to know what, because like we went up to Chicago for one a few years back, and that was a huge fucking building. And this event that we went to was massive, and it was a third of the building. And they had other events going on in the other ones at the same time. I don't know where ours stacks up size-wise to that one.
I think we have the ability to have a good bit of stuff going on there simultaneously.
Yeah. I mean, I think realistically, I think one of the continuously long-term issues that we have is the ability to park. Is people to get there and go to these events, because people don't want to park in like G12 over by the stadium and walk all the way over there.
Right.
It's not a huge walk, but they just don't want to do it. Okay. And I think that's one of the things that I think alternative solutions are the way to get there. I don't think we build another goddamn parking garage in town. We got enough of those. I think we need to get to figuring out a way that people can park this mall way the fuck out here that never has anybody in the parking lot except for Christmas, and get a bunch of people down there quickly and efficiently and safely to go do events and get out of there. That kind of stuff. I think that's the solution to a lot of our problems with downtown stuff. I think that's going to be an issue with the baseball stadium. I think that's I think the real losers are some of the residents down there. They're going to have a really pain in the ass time parking on their way home from work on a Thursday when they have a 7 o'clock first pitch, and everybody's down there getting ready for the game and stuff at 5, having dinner, going to the bar for a little bit, and then going over to the stadium, and all that parking's filled up. And it's like, I just want to go back to my fucking apartment, and there's nowhere to fucking park down here because there's a baseball game. That's the only that's a loser. That's a loser in this situation. And so I don't know. I don't know how to fix that one, because I don't want more parking garages. I think it's stupid waste of time, waste of money, waste of space. We can do better. But they're supposed to be using Civic. That'll be interesting when there's a hockey game, a concert in the Civic.
Civic parking.
Right. So there's a hockey game and a concert in the Civic and a baseball game, because they're supposed to be doing a trolley or whatever that goes from that parking garage to the baseball stadium and back. That's one of the things that they're supposed to be doing. And so, again, I think there's room to do stuff like that. It's just it has to be a well-designed thing. Game days, I don't know. Game days, I would do it. If I was going to go to a game, I'd be kind of cool. Just go up here to the mall, park, and take a bus down there.
Right.
Do the game. After the game, hop on a bus, get back out here, sober up enough by the time I get back to the car that I could drive the quarter-mile home. Not a smart thing to do. I don't advise it. I'll take an Uber, is what I meant. I'll pick up an Uber, but it's only a $5 Uber instead of a $50 Uber.
Right. No, it depends on demand.
That's what I said. But I'm saying that you get all the way out here, the demand's coming down. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to be as much demand for Ubers way out here, because they're going to all be downtown.
Well, they just dropped off a whole bus load of people that are all looking for Ubers.
That's true. Yeah, but again, you could go in the mall.
Bus load after bus load after bus load.
Yeah. But you're way the fuck out here, and it's easier to disperse those many people when they're out here than
possibly
when all. I mean, it's only like what I think. That's a good question. I don't know that I know the answer to. I remember seeing it somewhere. It wasn't. I mean, I want to say it was like less than 20,000 was the total seating for baseball. That's Lindsey Nelson. Funding to build 7,000 seat capacity ballpark.
It's gonna be the new one.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, that's a picture of it. This is their site. Yeah. 7K capacity. They say $116 million 30-year fiscal bump. 3,000 jobs. I don't know. Again, like I said, I think it could be really cool. I think their drawing is super inaccurate. They have a full baseball stadium full of people, and there's a parking lot next door with nobody in it. Liars.
It's supposed to be James White Parkway right next to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because from this picture, like down would be Summit Hill should be like coming across the bottom of it. That's Jackson, I think, or maybe up here is Jackson. I don't know. We'll see. It's happening, so we'll find out. I guess we get to watch it as it goes.
Yeah, I don't have much faith in it.
I think there's a cultural thing at play too that I don't think people are considering. I think the culture has changed. I think as we've become a service economy, as we've become as our consumption has gone from exclusively stuff to experience and stuff. I think, and maybe this is a thing of me getting older. Maybe I'm misperceiving this, but it seems to me that like experiential products are on the rise, and the demand for it is on the rise as well. People want to do things; they want to have things to do. It's not that they want stuff; they want activities. They want entertainment. They want I used that word, but they want stuff to do. And I think that if it's managed well, and if they do what they're promising, which I'm certain they won't, but if they get close to it with the amount of events they want to do down there, I think it'll get used. Now, profitable is a separate conversation for us locally, whether it's making money, whether it's raising money. As we already discussed, it's not going to cost a ton. Is it going to make enough to offset what it is costing the county and the city and their chunks of it? I don't know. But I think it'll get use. And I think that's one of those that it's hard to factor. I think it's truly hard to factor. Like, people come down for a farmer's market.
Are we under like a 10-year repaying back the city kind of plan or anything like that?
For Smokies?
Yeah.
No. They have a 30-year, $1 million year lease. That's it.
So, okay. So there was no like loans or whatever kind of given.
Right.
State gave out the money.
Right.
No strings attached.
So essentially what we're doing is we are building the stadium, and we are renting it under cost. Because again, what it should cost, it should be about a $4.5 million mortgage.
City is helping float the cost to build the stadium.
Right, and the city and county will be taking loans to pay their portion of production or construction. And I don't know if the Boyd Group will take a loan because they have some out of pocket on the front end too. Because like when it changed from the 64 to 75 million or something like that, Boyd Group's going to pay that directly because they want some upgrades. They want some things that weren't in the original plan. And the city's like, we're not paying more than what we've already talked about. Anything over this 64, 65 or whatever, that's on y'all. And so that's already happening, but the Boyd Group says, yeah, we'll pay it. That's fine. And so anything in construction that goes over cost, that's on the Boyd Group. I guess that could be the real lose-lose there, is that the Boyd Group quits mid-construction because the costs go out of whack further than their
cost of steel goes up or something.
Right, and they're just like, yeah, we were okay with paying $10, $15 million out of pocket to get this thing off the ground, but we're now in the $25, $30 million range to get this project finished. Fuck it, we're out. And I don't know if there's some contractual obligation. I hope there's some protections for us if they quit halfway.
You got to build something like bleachers and put some sod down.
And I guess at the end of the day, once the ink's dry, that is now city county property, and so they can turn around and sell that property to make some of that loss back if that bad a situation comes out of it.
Anybody want to buy a stadium?
A partial stadium?
Partial stadium.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, how much do you think it's already cost the Boyd Group to demolish it, to clear the space?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
I don't know what all they had to tear down.
It's not nothing.
I mean, I know they had that time lapse video, but I don't know. It looked like a lot of it was torn down already before they started that time lapse.
I mean, anything. I mean, I think that's the moral of the story. Is that's why Boyd was willing to go ahead and start demolition before the deal was made. Because anything you build down there, you're going to have to tear down what was there. Like that, I don't think any of that space was really functionally usable. The cost to retrofit or whatever it is to get it up to code was probably going to be astronomical.
It's all just a master plan to get the city to float part of rebuilding something, and then he only has Well, he has to half finish it.
Again, there's no... I think that's one of the things that people that are proponents for the stadium get accused of kind of improperly, and that
like, oh, you guys just dropped off all
you want
this.
some rich guy to make more money, and it's like, no, it's not necessarily that I do, but I don't mind the idea of benefiting a rich guy when benefiting that rich guy is going to benefit a bunch of other people in the process. And I don't even know if I'm on that field of it, but I get that side of the conversation. Like, yeah, Boyd's going to make a bunch of money off this thing, sure, but we're going to take a crappy area downtown and bring it up and bring people down there. People are going to live down there. Some people are going to get jobs out of it. We'll see who and what and that kind of thing as it rolls. And yeah, Boyd makes a bunch more money. That sucks. Boyd's going to make much more money tomorrow, no matter what he does. He's good at what he does. He knows what he's doing. So, I don't know.
That was stadium talk.
That was an update on the stadium for no good reason. Supreme Court had a couple of hearings recently. We talked a little bit about it last week with AC. I agree with AC in the sense that I think it's odd that they're allowed to... I mean, I understand the mechanics of how the Supreme Court said, no, you're not allowed to make it private companies mandate vaccines for their employees, but you are allowed to do it if you take Medicare and Medicaid. I understand the mechanics of that, but I agree with AC that it's kind of fucked up. If you work in a hospital, you have to have the vaccine. If you don't work in a hospital, but it's a big company, you don't have to have the vaccine, and the Supreme Court's okay with that. That is a kind of weirdism.
I heard there was like a healthcare stipulation in there. I didn't know it was tied directly to if you receive federal funds.
Yeah, and I think it's the mechanics of it, and that they could just as easily have been like, well, you don't have to make your employees do it, but we don't have to send the checks either. You know, we don't have to supplement the cost of whatever that thing is that we'd agree to. So take it or leave it. You know, it's not worded that way, but I think that's the justification.
I mean, at this point, I think companies are kind of stuck in the middle of it. They're kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't.
I did watch a video of a guy burning his Carhartt hat.
I didn't see that.
That's so dumb. It's like, this was a big deal to me. I wore that hat everywhere. And it's like, then don't burn the fucking hat, bro. I don't get it. Why did you support Carhartt in the first place? Like, was there some underlying motive of what Carhartt is that you felt important about?
That's all that me and my buddies wear.
Right, and it's like, because you're a brand whore like the rest of us. It does nothing to do with some great vision that Carhartt has. Carhartt's pitch, why their brand is strong, is because they pitch the working man.
I think when I was in Germany 20 years ago, like, it was trendy. Like, that's what, like, the popular people were wearing.
Oh, Roddy got a bath, everybody, so he's really going to be chatty here for a minute. And again, but I'm just saying, that is the game at play here. It's not that Carhartt has any actual special soft spot in any sort of political or social whatever. It's their niche, their branding was always the working man stuff. And so upstairs, the working man drinks beers and wears Carhartts. And, well, Carhartt did something that the blue guys like, and so now the working man who hates the blue guys hates Carhartt. It's just dumb. A has nothing to do with B.
No, but partially in this day and age of social influencers, everyone thinks that they might be able to influence it by putting out that. Right. I'm going to show them. I'm going to burn it. And I'm going to put it on TikTok. If you want to show them,
you just don't buy a new Carhartt hat after you burn your old one. Right. That's how you show them. You don't buy another one.
But they feel better about putting it on Instagram,
right?
TikTok.
And I don't know. It's just dumb. And this is just a current version of it. It's been 1,000 different whatevers. Because again, like, it's so dumb. Like, okay, fine. You hate Carhartt because they're going with the vaccine mandate, even though they don't have to. All right. Well, do you hate, I don't know, Apple for using Chinese labor? Because that same guy that's burning his Carhartt hats, the guy that's like, them are going to come over here, them Mexicans are coming here and steal our jobs. But he still goes buys his Ford truck that's made with Mexican parts.
Right.
It's like, fine, if you take a stand, but be consistent. And you're not going to be consistent because you don't fucking give a shit, and they don't give a shit either. You're just, like you said, you're just, putting it on the gram, or you're TikToking it, which is even funnier if you're going to bitch about Asian shit and TikTok at the same time. But that's just that's the society we've built, and it sucks, and I hate it. But I am curious if Burchett's going to drop his Carhartt jacket.
Was he known for wearing a Carhartt jacket or something?
Yeah, Tim Burchett, isn't it him? He always wears his Carhartt jacket. Blue jeans and a Carhartt jacket all the time. I think it's Tim Burchett. Now you got me questioning.
Never paid attention.
Yeah, it's Tim Burchett. He always does it. And we were talking about it the other night at the shop, and I was like, if I'm Burchett for politics, I just don't say anything and stop wearing the jacket. I don't make a big fuss about it. Don't do an announcement.
Well, how is everybody going to know?
I just take the jacket off and stop wearing it. Everybody that needs to know is going to see it. And it's going to be talked about.
He stopped wearing his car.
I guarantee it, man. I guarantee you if he did it, if he has or hasn't, I guarantee you there will be.
Did you guys see Tim Burchett? No. What'd he say?
He didn't say
no,
shit.
like he didn't wear his Carhartt jacket.
He was wearing a suit coat. He was in the Capitol building with a suit coat, like all them other fucking pussies.
Ain't not one of them wearing a Carhartt.
He's not one of us no more.
They're Americans.
It's just like I don't know, but again, I don't know. The political play to me would be to do that because you might sneak by a handful of the people that'll actually give a shit. Some people are going to notice, but I think you're worse off if you make a scene about it, even if you're trying to pander to the base, because you'll absolutely alienate some, and you're not necessarily going to keep enough of the base with that move. That'd be my amateur political influence on it.
Yeah. Today, the Arizona Democratic Caucus or whatever voted to censure cinema. Kristen Sinema.
I mean, yeah, the whip should get out there and do his job.
The whip?
The whip.
Well, this was at the state level.
I mean,
it was a state party, I guess, that did this.
Right, but I mean, like,
I just thought it was just theatrics. It just reminded me of the Wyoming GOP censuring Liz Cheney.
Yeah, it's because I mean, and
like, okay, and this does what?
Yeah, I mean,
you have a formal record that you don't approve of this person.
I mean,
okay, cool.
I think it does a huge amount of damage to your re-election campaign, and I'm pretty sure Sinema ain't running again.
I don't think so.
Pretty sure Sinema's
she just got in.
I'm pretty sure she's got a sweet private sector gig lined up as soon as this is over. Maybe a speaking tour, maybe a podcast. So. Yeah,
something about her. I was trying to figure out. I think it's her glasses. Oh, when I see like pictures of her, I think the glasses that throw me off.
I don't know.
They're just
I don't even know if I know what she looks like. I just hear.
It's like, I don't know if it's just like the bigger rim glasses. Or if it's just because they're black frame. I
I have no idea how to spell her name. Sinema.
Sene. Yeah, it starts with an S. Senemma.
Sinema? Sinema.
I think that's what.
Okay. She looks like a Republican. Because she is a Republican. She's a senator, sorry. I thought she was in the House.
I think there's a big deal about it is with the previous federal elections when the Senate was getting down tight and they're like, oh, Arizona senator, we have one of the Democratic Party coming into it.
But to me, that's like we were talking earlier about the redistricting and the gerrymandering and all that kind of shit. It's like, okay, if you're the Democratic Party of Arizona, and it's been a red state for a long time, you don't want to put up a candidate that's super far left. You want a more center-left candidate because you're not going to beat a regular right candidate in a red state with a super left candidate. You got to do it. The only way you're going to get it in there.
Or maybe the Democratic Party put her up to be able to still get some of the red vote.
Right,
GOP
that's what I'm saying.
vote.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So you put up a candidate that's going to be a little bit more sympathetic to right issues or whatever like that, because that sympathy is going to garner you some votes from the right. Mm. And I guess that's a better way to put the whole thing, is the idea that there is only a left or right, there is only a blue or red, and it goes down to the dichotomy of the red is the enemy, the blue is the enemy, or whatever it is.
So she came in 2018.
And so the question at play is are they representing their constituency or are they representing the party? And if you're going to censure somebody, then they're representing because they're not representing the party properly.
She's openly bisexual. Okay. Sorry, according to Wikipedia. Which I still wonder, when Wikipedia started becoming. Because I was in school 15 years ago in college, and every single teacher was like, "Do not put fucking Wikipedia in your bibliography. I will not accept it."
Right, just go to Wikipedia and click on one of the hyperlinks, and then use that as your bibliography. Use that as your source because that's the wiki source.
I guess, huh?
I mean, they do. I mean, to be fair, they do a fairly good job. But I mean, it is what is the word? It's a public. I mean, it's publicly filled out. Like, it's just regular people go in there, and I can make a wiki page for you,
All right.
and whatever I put in there is going to be in there until somebody corrects it. So I could say you're a 31-year-old black woman, and Wiki's going to say okay to that until somebody goes, no, he's not.
All right.
Because
Publicly accessible? I don't know.
It's like a...
Publicly editable?
Oh, snap, Titans lose.
Uh-oh. How'd Henry do?
Apparently not so good.
Oh, no. That was his first.
That ruins my
First
Super
game
Bowl.
back.
That ruins my Super Bowl so bad.
Oh, no.
Damn it. Now my Packers have to win it all if I'm going to make any money this year.
Oh, no.
Because that's what football is about, making me money. But again, I think, okay, so again, because Arizona's had been more of a red state historically, right?
No idea.
I don't know that either. But I'm just saying, if you were going to run a Democrat in Tennessee against Governor Lee, you can't run an AOC or a I don't know, help me out, Bernie Sanders style. You could not run with an expectation to win, at least, a far left candidate against Governor Lee, because the population's not going to vote for that. Now, you do a barely left candidate, they might be capable of stealing some of that right vote and then keeping all the left vote. And they might have a chance. And I don't know if that's the case, but that's what it sounds like to me, that Arizona put up a little bit more center-style candidate because they had a better chance to get some votes from the right, because there's not an actual population advantage of the Democrats in that state. And then now that senator is acting upon her constituency and getting censured for it, is what it sounds like to me. I don't know the full history of it, but I could see that as a thing. But again, it makes sense to me on a strategic standpoint but it's still gross, because if I'm going to strategically put at least market a candidate as a center left candidate so that I can beat a Republican, and then as soon as they win, I turn them into a super left candidate or a super left office holder, that's not who I voted for as a constituent. Good strategy, good way to get a seat filled, but that's not who the public voted for. Maybe, I don't know. I'm running hypothetical out in my head. Well, out loud to you, not in my head. But again, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, am I making some sense in what I'm pitching here? I don't know if it's the truth in what has happened, but it would make sense strategically, politically, to do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're looking at all the poll numbers of what kind of person they think the constituency that has been voting would vote for on certain issues.
Yeah, I think it's just I don't know. And I think the idea that the party votes in blocks, both sides, I think the idea that no Republican votes for anything that's going on right now on the federal level, like it's just an easy no. You know, I mean, it's as AC was talking about last week. Mitch McConnell's really good. He keeps his troops in line. There's no strays, because one or two strays can offset these two blue team strays, and the agenda gets passed.
Right.
And I think that's...
You see a lot of it, goes down to literal, like, party line vote.
Yeah, and it's terrible. It's dumb. It's not... Because, again, like, you have, like, an Ohio senator...
So like, oh, wait, would you get on number 4? Okay, yeah.
Exactly. Cheating off a test. But it's like you have an Ohio senator, because Ohio tends to be a swing state, a Florida senator, a Georgia senator now, a North Carolina senator, that senator, for their own re-election purposes, cannot be super right or super left. They have to be more centered, because they're not going to get reelected if they go super right or super left. But the party says you're going super left whether you like it or not. And they have to sacrifice their own career
to an extent,
in order to do so. And so that, I think, is part of one of the problematic situations at play. So yeah, I'm excited about Jimmy. That's going to be fun. He's coming here.
It's going to be fun.
I got a cell phone number. That might be handy one day if he gets reelected. Hey, Jimmy. Jimmy, one of your deputies pulled me over. I'm drunk as shit. Help me out here, buddy.
I don't know you.
How'd you get this number?
Yeah.
But I mean, also, like, I was
He
surprised.
probably gave you his burner number.
No, probably. I was about to say. I messaged him, and he said, I'd love to be on the show. Give me a call tomorrow or whatever. And I was like, okay. So I gave him a call, and he answered on the first fucking ring. I was like, damn. Hey, buddy, it's Seth. Talked to you, messaged with you last night. I want to see what time you got for whatever. And he's like, I don't know, send me a schedule, and I'll see what I can do. Send him the schedule. About 10 minutes later, text me back. He's like, that one works for me. Cool. You're on the books. What email do you want me to send this to so I can get the confirmation? Boom, bam, bam. So now I got to go through the 3-month process of running at Mr. Spangler, get him back in, see if Matt and the Dems get a sheriff on the docket or not. He says they've got a guy they're talking to. But
I mean, I would guess they're trying to find a candidate that's willing to fight an uphill battle.
Yeah, and I mean, again, presumably their candidate is already a officer of some sort, and what this does to the future of their regular career if they try to run against their potential boss. Which, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it matters, but
we shall see.
Yeah, I'll be excited to talk to them. I mean, there's 4 running for mayor already. And I'm curious on I have 2 Democrats, excuse me, and then there's an independent, and I can't get a hold of any of them. So I'm gonna have to work on that. I haven't actually directly called them yet. I've been trying to go through social sources first before I start just calling people's phone numbers. I don't know. Feel weird. I just feel weird about straight calling people.
Yeah.
I'd much rather text or email, at least to start the conversation, and then be like, because
put them right there on the spot.
Yeah. Although it doesn't work because, like, what's her face was running for city, pea drinker.
Murphy?
Yeah. Elizabeth Murphy, I called and I talked to her for about 15, 20 minutes, and I couldn't get anything scheduled with her.
I mean, sometimes when you're wondering when your next fix is going to come out of you.
I mean, you can bring your own drinks in here. That's fine. I don't mind. I got some solo cups. If you get desperate and need to borrow a cup, I'm not going to give you one that I'm not going to wash it afterwards, but I'm going to throw it away. But I'll have a cup for you if you like.
Oh, good.
That's the world we live in. That sucks. So bonus for me, going back to football for a second. So Titans losing sucks for me because that was one of my Super Bowl matchups. So the AFC game tomorrow, Max or AC is going to lose one of their teams no matter what because they have opponents. So we'll see about that. AC's texting me right now. I'm about to talk shit.
All right, sorry. I should silence my shit earlier.
Yeah, it's fine.
And that one link he sent out, seen that years ago. It is good. It is a good clip. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I have. America's not the greatest country in the world anymore.
I think that's like 5 years old.
America's not the goddamn best country in the world anymore. But we sure used to be. We used to be tough. We used to be resilient. And we used to care about our neighbors.
I can't remember what it said. I remember being good. I don't remember specifics.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Can you say why America is the greatest country?
I don't remember what the show is. Is the
morning show?
No. Because we watched that for a little bit. Freedom, freedom, and freedom.
Well, why is it not the greatest country in the world, Professor? That's my answer.
Everybody, yeah, I've seen this. We haven't been. We sure used to be. What was that? Jeff Daniels?
Yep.
Yeah, that guy was in Dumb and Dumber.
Yes, he was.
And he was fantastic in it. And I don't think that character in Dumb and Dumber would have worked as well with somebody that was sillier all the time. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that he is a good, traditional, serious actor made that character even funnier.
I think he did some comedy before that.
He has. But I'm just saying, like, it's not... I don't know. Like, if it was if it was like Andy Dick played the part, it wouldn't have been as funny.
Right.
just because that's all Andy Dick ever is. And so there's no shock and surprising and funny in it, or as funny as Jeff Daniels doing it. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like, again, I don't know what to talk. I've been doing the 5 questions. So we have the official 5 questions.
Yeah.
It's I kind of bridged a couple of them together. So one is this your first time running for office? If so, whatever. If not, what have you run for before? Question 1B is this the highest office you're chasing? Do you have intent to go into further stuff? And then we kind of expand from there. Which I think, I don't know if, for what it's worth, Mr. Cole was very clear about it. He's like, I want to be on the state appellate court. It's not an elected position, so I'm not going to be running for a different office, but I need to hold the judgeship to get there. And so if the current governor or future governor wants to pull him into one of the appellate court positions, that is on his radar. He would like to do that. Which, I don't know if that's
This is a stepping stone.
Right. I don't know. That's not fair. I don't know if that's fair to say. I think he was like, it's an 8-year term, so he's in it for a while. Although he could be appointed halfway through or within
semi-goal.
But I don't know. It goes both ways, I guess. Like, complacency is not very exciting either. But if he gets appointed to something else, then the commission gets to appoint his replacement, or the state. I don't know if the governor appoints his, but I don't know exactly how that transition would work. But then again, also it's kind of weird because it's an 8-year term. He doesn't have to be I think he has to be a judge for 2 years, is what he said, before he's eligible for the appellate court. So if in 2024 a seat comes open, he gets assigned for it, we only have a quarter of his term covered, and we have to appoint somebody to finish it.
The appellate court is just appeals court, I think.
That's a Jamie show. We got to do. I think so.
I think what little I've seen, I think if someone appeals a circuit court or whatever, appeals that, then it'll then go to the appellate court.
Right, and so they suss out whether there's anything valid in the appeal conversation. There was a mistake made here. This person went against what actual law is.
And then if you appeal the appellate court, I think that's when it could get kicked up to the state Supreme Court.
Yeah. And so, that's on his radar, but I don't know. I don't know if it's fair to say whether that's a pro or a con. Anyway, that's question 2. 3 is what's your favorite ice cream. 4 is what's your favorite place to eat in town. And then 5 is how much of a partisan hack are you? I want you to tell me something nice about somebody in the other party, which got really awkward with Brianna because she's running as an independent. She's not a party member. So she went with Stacey Abrams, which if she was going to be in a party, I would say that Brianna is probably a Democrat or at least leans that way. So that was kind of a unfair answer on her part, because if I was, if next time I have an independent, I should adjust the question. Like, if you had to pick one of the 2 parties, which one would it be? Now tell me somebody from the other party.
Okay.
Right. Then tell me somebody from the other party that you respect and think is a good leader.
Gotcha. A caveat of the question.
Right. Because as I was starting to ask the question to her,
a precursor to the question.
And I told her right before I started asking the question, I was like, this comes off a little weird because you're running as an independent and you don't have an opposite party per se. But, who's somebody from another party that you think is a good whatever? And she went with Stacey Abrams and talked about Stacey Abrams and this, that, and the other.
She get into why she's running independent versus any other party.
She said that Matt, or maybe not Matt, but the party had talked to her about it. But that they'd already chosen they were already kind of leaning towards somebody else. And, she's not, like, she doesn't follow, like, as far as some of the local specifics, she's not on board with all of them. And so she didn't feel like it was in her best interest. Yeah. She doesn't like the masks in schools. She doesn't think it's appropriate. She doesn't think they're needed. She doesn't like virtual school options. She thinks in school is the right way to do things, and this, that, and the other. And as far as I gather, I don't know, I haven't heard it directly out of anybody's mouth on the left of the actual Democratic Party candidates or Matt himself, that I get the feeling that is one of their issues that they're on board with. They want masks in schools. They want virtual to be an option and used more often. And I'm assuming their candidates are going to run like that. So I don't know. We'll see. And then we talked a little bit about vouchers with her, and she doesn't like them, which is kind of obvious. Because I kind of was like, because again, like, that's one of the couple weeks ago, one of the last school board meetings, when they set their legislative agenda, which is the list of things they send to Massey and Manus and Gloria Johnson and all them and say, these are the things that we want to get done or that we would like the state to get done so that we can do them here. I guess for a decade plus, one of the top items on their list was do not allow vouchers in the state. And that is not on the list this year. So the current school board is not fighting vouchers as hard as the old one was. And we'll see what that does in elections because, like I said, I think that's going to be one of the big ones. I think it's going to be a real big one. And I'd be curious, and maybe I'll try to get Becky in here and talk to her about it. I'd be curious how much those meetings make a difference. I don't think she'd tell me the truth anyway. Like when, because again, it's the weird overlaps of things that I don't understand. Like it's like if a bunch of Massey constituents say, "Hey, we want vouchers for our kids," but the school board tells Massey they don't want vouchers in Knox County. What does Massey do? What should she do? It's pretty easy. I think she goes with what her constituents want would be the correct move. But what does she actually do? Like which group has more influence? The school board? Which, of the 9 school board members, probably 4 of them are actual constituents directly. Or, hundreds of constituents calling her and asking her for a thing.
True.
And obviously the school board doesn't like vouchers. Why would they? It's basically taking away their product. Well, it's taking away their funding, which it's not, but it is, to pay for their product. But
trying to remember if there was anything else that was going on in the state as of recently.
I mean, there's the big one on my list that we're currently advocating against. And I'll go into my pitch if you want. I don't know. I don't care. We're opposed to. God, I hope to find it. House Bill. Where's the best place for me to find it? House Bill 1767. I'm sorry, Senate Bill 1767, House Bill 1690. What it's essentially going to do, as I've read it, I can't get anybody to break it down for me in English, but as I've read it, it basically says that anyone dealing in any of the, what's the word I want to look for, the more fun versions of hemp products that are out there, your Delta 8s and stuff like that, it's going to require a special permit for resale, and it'll have a 6.25% increase in sales tax. So on top of, not in lieu of. On top of current sales tax, it'll be a 15-16% sales tax total. It's called a privilege tax, which is what we already pay on liquor. And so I don't know if this is out of a liquor lobby that's trying to say, hey, if you're going to let people get fucked up on something else, they need to pay the same amount of taxes to get fucked up on their stuff as they do on ours.
Yeah.
Or if it's a anti-pot move, and this is what's weird, is that it could be construed as this a pro-pot,
a precursor to,
and that this is building the framework for when we go full legal and have a recreational subset requiring the permit for resale and a special tax, and which I don't know. I just can't get anybody to answer the question, so I'm saying no. And I've called everybody that I talk to regularly. I've talked to Manis and Massey about it and told them I think it's a bad idea. And I went at it with them from a Republican point of view, because if you're a Republican, you sit there and say, we don't want a bunch of oversight and red tape, and we don't want new taxes, and this thing is both of those things. And if you say you're for smaller government and lower taxes, show me in this thing where that's true. And it's not.
Right.
That's what we're currently advocating against. And so I don't know. I just like it's. I reached out to Mr. Hunt, I believe his name was.
Hurt.
Senate Bill Nicely. Hurt. Yeah, Mr. Hurt. It's Halls, but Halls is in West Tennessee. It's between Jackson and Memphis. But he's a Republican from way the fuck out there. And I reached out to his admin assistant and said, hey, I'd like to talk to him about it. I want to understand what this thing actually is. What I gather from the synopsis, I'm opposed to, but I can also see how this could be a positive and the thing that I want in the long term. So help me understand it so that I don't misadvocate on behalf of it. So I don't know, but
were you able to get any kind of breakdown of what's upcoming? Like I said, I think
No.
the local had an article
Right.
about some of the upcoming.
And I want to know what where the source is, because I mean, I talked to.
Well, I think on the website that you're on, I think there's a way to look at.
I looked, but I couldn't find their schedules and calendars. And it says when they're in doing different shit at floor sessions and hearing rooms and this, that, and the other.
I think it's under legislation. I think it may tell you what's on. Maybe through bill search. I thought maybe there was a way to go by date.
What are my bills? I can make my own.
Welcome to my bills. I think that's if you're a legislator.
But I think or you could be on a list where you can follow them and they'll send you updates or something probably, which I probably should do for the one in question.
Updates whenever it's
right. Whenever a new thing is. I mean, because so it goes like this.
They bounce around to different committees.
Because I was talking to Joey, who is Manis's legislative assistant.
Manis's.
All right, and I was like, hey, man, I heard rumor of this thing. Is there somewhere that I can find a list of what's coming up and what's going to be presented this year in session? And this was back in December. And he's like, no, I don't know, whatever, kind of gave me whatever. And he's like, is there something specific you're looking for? I can maybe try to help you find it. And I was like, yeah, it's specifically a pot-related kind of bill or whatever. And he sends back, the only thing I can find is this, and that was the one that's the ballot initiative to have the 3 questions on the ballot. And I was like, that's not the one I'm looking for. And so,
I don't think there was a way to look at least what was rolled over from last year to what would,
and I'm sure there
would be automatically on.
And probably in the bill search, there's stuff that's pending, or you could probably do that in the bill search, saying
status or something.
Right, what its status is and stuff that's coming out of summer session or something like that. But this one's brand new. Because it didn't take place last year. It was brand new. And so it's so I can't remember, I could look it up, but Joey emails me, he's like, is this the one you're looking for? And this was Monday of last week or 2 weeks ago. And I was like, yeah, I think that might be it. And I go and I look at it, and it's only a House bill at this point. It doesn't have its Senate counterpart yet. By the end of that day, it has the Senate counterpart, and it was... so the 18th is when I heard about it, and then on the 18th, later on the 18th, it was filed and passed on the 19th on first consideration on the Senate side.
It started in the House on the 11th, it looks like.
Right. And it's referred to a committee, and it's now assigned to the Agricultural and Natural Resources Subcommittee, which, again... But the issue I have at play here is I've been asking about it, and I would think that an assistant to a House rep would have access to this information. At least maybe not have more access as opposed to what we could find, but have better access and quicker access and more means to get there quicker than I could, because he knows there's got to be an inside database that they use.
Right. We started out with House Bill number, 1600, so I know that this session starts with this or whatever.
Yeah, because that's another fun little factoid. They start at 0, and there's 2 sessions a cycle. And so we're at 1600, and we're starting part 2, session 2 of this assembly. So there's 2 sessions for each. There's 2 official sessions for each assembly, and then they have special sessions and shit like that. And so we're basically 1 year into a 2-year cycle, and 1,700 bills are being moved around. And there are all sorts of little tiny, teeny, teensy, whatever. And I went over with a bunch of them with Massey that one time and stuff like that. And it's just all mountains and mountains of stuff. And they do all this in a couple months. They're only in Nashville normally for mid-March, and I think they're done for the year.
Yeah,
they're supposed to be done for the year, and they usually come back for a couple things here and there. And then we had special sessions so that we could make partisan races out of school board. But that's a lot of stuff going on in a little period of time, and it goes into that question. It's well, I sit here and argue, but I don't know what to vote for in people. Right. How does Manis know what to vote for on all these bills? I mean, the answer is somebody tells him yes or no, and he does.
I'd say some of it, you've got your interns or people in your office or whatever, they're able to read through some of these and give you a much better synopsis, give you the clip notes of that bill.
Yeah, you're probably right. or the person that, or the lobby group gives you the Cliff Notes version, wink, which they do, and again, like, lobby groups have the evil moniker on them, like, it's just, you say a lobbyist, it's like, ugh. I mean, they're not all bad.
Right.
It's just the idea of what they do is bad to me. Like, those are supposed to be servants to me, not servants to you and the people you represent as a lobbyist. I shouldn't have to have a lobbyist to talk to my rep and actually have an influence. But it seems to be that if it's not a lobbyist or something like that, that it's harder to get play. But I don't think this is not a man of shit. I think this is the game that we live in.
Yeah.
And so...
No, I mean, lobbying goes awry when it goes beyond trying to advocate for a cause and then just kind of becoming a blockage to other things, other legislation, essentially.
Yes, and I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you at all, but I think the reality of it, that's the problem, is that, going back to the school board example, school board doesn't have anti-voucher on the top of their list anymore. Knox County Schools is a member of a separate lobby group. Like, so what they did, what Knox County School does is periodically they have a session where Maness and Johnson and McKinsey and Lafferty and all them come together, and the school board comes together, and they talk about what they want. And that's how they come up with this list, and that's what just happened recently. But at the same time, the school board is a member of a lobby group of major school boards in the state that has a lobbyist in Nashville that's doing stuff for him as well. Now, me and you, like, again, on this House Bill 1690 that I don't like, me and you and a ton of people can not like it. And me and you and a ton of people can call and make a fuss. But we don't have somebody there in the office talking to Maness or Massey. And I only use Maness and Massey because they're my reps. I don't have anybody that can go to Nashville on my behalf and sit down and talk to them and tell them this is important. This is important to their constituents. But I'm sure as shit that if my conjecture that the liquor companies are behind part of this, Jack Daniels has probably got somebody there talking to him about what's good for Jack Daniels. I'm sure, like, Old Smoky Whiskey's down there, Old Smoky Moonshine rather, or maybe there's a state liquor producers lobby group that's down there talking to people. But we don't have that as citizens.
Well, in that logic, I'd be curious to see some of the other states that have gone medicinal and recreational, if they've lost liquor sales or if any of the breweries have shut down.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but that's not the point I'm trying to get at here. Right. I'm just trying to say that the idea that special...
To get your voice heard,
that you have to have a lobby group. I mean, that's one of the things that I was adamantly against in the early part of the vape game, is I'm like, hey, these lobby groups that are trying to be vape lobbyists are coming to us trying to get us to be members and pay them and help pitch in their legal bills and all the kind of crap that they have to do their job. And it's like, I get what you're trying to do here. But do you think for a half a fucking second that a Tennessee Smoke-Free Association lobby group for vape has a shot in hell of out-lobbying big tobacco? I mean, realistically, what are we spending our money on? And so to me, it's like, sure, the lobbyists could be there to do this stuff, and that doesn't even give them a shot depending on who they're lobbying against. And so my whole thing was, if we're going to do it, we need to do a PR campaign. But that's, again, beside the point being is that I think we've long passed the point that these people really represent us. Because it goes back to my Massey thing about the KPD wanted more expanded use of drones. KPD asked Massey for it. Do you think I could ask Massey for it and she would do it?
Probably not.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, though. And again, me to use drones to spy on my neighbors is probably going to be even a harder pitch anyway, but that's not the point. Like, I don't know what else is similar that I could do, but, KPD asked for, I don't know what. Sheriff's office asked for whatever. Like, I don't get to ask that question. Maybe if I had an organization that I owned and operated that was as big as the sheriff's office that had as many employees and stuff, I might have a chance. But I'm just a regular citizen that doesn't have a multi-billion-dollar company that I own, or doesn't have a particular subset of people that follow me on a particular set of topics. I'm just a guy that I think I'm right on a couple of things. I think Knox County would be perfectly happy to have pot. I don't think anybody's really upset that D8 and D9 and the different stuff that's going on in the specialty CBD shop or whatever you want to call it. I don't think there's anybody that's particularly upset that it exists. Yeah, there's some moms out there. There's some Karens that don't want their kids getting high. Sure. But that's the same parent that doesn't want their kid getting drunk or anything else.
Sure.
And so I don't think that a lot of these things are representative of the population, but the population doesn't have a chance to pitch it unless they can form some giant coalition and be the head of some giant organization that says, these people don't vote for you if you don't do what I say. But big liquor can do that. Big tobacco can do that. I guess, big vape kind of could have tried to pull it off. They had a shot. It was good numbers, but.
So would you say you want to unionize people behind your cause?
No, I want actual representation that represents me, not the party, and not the greater agenda of the parties at play. And I'm not anti-union. I don't like union protection by the state, but I'm not anti-union. I don't like the idea that, because unions freak me out, because maybe this is my lack of knowledge on unions, because a lot of unions, they put together these employment contracts, like a guaranteed amount of pay, guaranteed amount of work, and whatever like that. Is it a reciprocal contract? If you just quit, are you in breach of contract? Can I sue you? Probably not. I'm all about contract labor. I'm cool with it. But it's a reciprocal contract. It works for both parties. And so the argument at play with why unions are good is that the business has all the power, the employee has none. They unionize, so now the employees have power. Okay, I'm okay with that part of it. But if you as an employee are going to come to me as the business owner and demand a union and demand X, Y, and Z and demand a contract for your work, okay. But you're going to work for the duration of the contract in the manner that we agree on, and you can't quit? Is that a thing that would be okay with anybody? You go find a new job that's better, but you have to stay because you're under contract for another year.
I don't think that's a caveat of it.
What do you mean?
That if you sign this contract, you are forced to work out that duration.
Why not? It's not a mutual contract then. That's a one-sided contract. And again, I'm not saying that the current way that is better and that the business has all the power over the employees.
They're generally arguing over benefits.
I mean, they're arguing over everything. Hours, time, duration of shifts, number of shifts a week,
right.
Timing of shifts. It's the whole thing. It depends on the business, obviously, and what the job is. But it's generally, it's not fair that we do all the work and you make all the money, and we want to get paid better, and we want to work better hours, and we want better benefits. Okay. All those things cost me money as your employer. I will sign that contract.
I don't think the duration of that contract is a part of the negotiation.
I find that problematic. I think that's weird. I don't think it's good or bad. I just think it's weird. I think I should be able to, if I'm on the business side of the contract, if I'm going to put all this money and energy and effort into your wants and needs as my employee, that I shouldn't have to start over because you decide you want to do something different, because you decide that this isn't what you want to do, because you decide to go get some.
That's not one employee breaking the contract with the union.
But the union's contract is with the company. Therefore, the employee's contract is with the company. The union is representing the workers, and they're drafting a contract for the relationship between the worker and the business owner. If I'm going to spend all this money as the business owner, okay, fine. But what concessions do I get as a business owner? I don't, I have to go through all this stuff. I have to guarantee X, Y, and Z, but you can leave tomorrow? All these things cost me money, which I'm okay with paying if you're going to be here for a while. But that's never part of the contract talks. And maybe I'm missing some, maybe I don't know.
I mean, I never thought about that aspect, but I think it would be preposterous to expect that you as the employee, as a part of the union, I don't think that each one signs a contract with the company themselves, so you wouldn't be in breach of contract for even quitting. But then, even if you didn't, outside of that you would be in breach of contract for quitting your job for whatever reason.
But I mean, that's how sports contracts work, at least.
You can't force, well...
And you can't force them to work, but if they don't play, if they quit playing the game, you don't have to pay them anymore.
Well, obviously, if you quit, you don't
Now,
have to pay them anymore.
And I guess to be fair, one of the questions at play, would be how the pay structure works. Is it an annual contract in that you get paid $65,000 a year to do this job? How you subdivide that into the workings and stuff like that, as far as, for every week you get a 52nd of the 65,000 or whatever. I don't know, but it's just again, it's odd to me, at least my perception of it, and I could be totally wrong on making it a mutual relationship between employers and employees. It seems like it's just employees play to get what they want, which is cool, I guess. But go start a co-op. Co-ops exist. You got a skill, go use it. That's my argument against unions in general. Like, I don't understand this argument that, like, the evils of business owners, and it's like, well, go start a co-op. Go do a business the way you want to do it. Well, we can't, because we can't compete with those guys. Well, obviously. That's why, because the products that they sell that you buy for the amount that you pay for them is an agreeable part for you as the customer, and they have to do their measures. And again, there are greedy assholes out there that go overboard, and that's a problem. But I don't think it's a party line thing. I think it's, again, I don't know. I'm rambling on a bunch of different subtopics in my head, and I need to back it up. Yeah. I'm not anti-union. I don't care. If you guys want to get together and start a union at the shop, so be it. I'm not a big fan of the idea that... I'm not a big fan that the state has...
We have to sign a contract that says we have to stay working.
I don't know. We'd have to figure it out. I'd have to figure out whatever your union comes up with.
Maybe it's like actually talk to someone that knows more about this. Yeah,
that's probably
I never thought about it, but that makes sense. That then signing into a contract then also obligates you to having to remain in that position.
But I'm saying, like, some of the unions, like some of the stuff that unions want are like particular trainings, so that people can move up in specialty in the business or whatever like that. They want those special trainings. They want me to teach you a skill so that you can make more money off me. Okay, I'm cool with that. But if I'm going to spend mountains of money on you, getting you a better skill so that you can be a better employee for me, but you're allowed to quit a week later and go work for somebody else, that's a problem.
I guess I'm thinking of it in like a factory setting, and I'm not sure where that applies.
I don't know. Again, you're right. You're probably 100% right. This adds to the list of things that I know I maybe should probably learn a little bit more about before I make a big speech on. But what that all started with, I don't like the idea that the state has any involvement in that process. If employees want to unionize, cool. But the state shouldn't be able to come in and demand a union exists or force a union in or out, for that matter.
Well, I think in the recent cases that I'm thinking of, there was a couple like Amazon things where the state only stepped in after it was found that the company did not allow proper unionization to then go on.
Right. I agree, yeah, because some of the stuff at Amazon, like they put like the ballot box, mailbox or whatever, like right in the middle of somewhere that like the manager's office was right outside the window for the manager's office, and the ballot box is right next to her, something like that. That Amazon was doing some active intimidation techniques.
Weird shady stuff.
Yeah, same thing with Starbucks, and one of the Starbucks here in Knoxville is trying to unionize, which, again, go for it. Do your thing.
We lost 2 more entertainers this week.
Bob Saget. Yes, bummer. Like Bob Saget.
Meatloaf.
And Meatloaf.
Louis Anderson.
Louis Anderson died?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. Bob Saget was the one I was upset about. Oh, yeah. And I did, the Meatloaf one was kind of a bummer.
I think Meatloaf and Louis Anderson were both yesterday.
Bob had bitch tits.
I was about to say, like, is that what his real name was? I was like, you're making a Fight Club reference.
Yeah, but because his real name is on the credits. It's not Meatloaf on the credits of Fight Club. And I remember seeing that and going, who's that guy? Oh, that's fucking Meatloaf. Okay. Yeah, Meatloaf. I thought it was really cool. A bunch of people adopted dogs on Betty White's, what would have been Betty White's 100th birthday.
I heard there was a big like fundraising for animals,
some humane society or something like that. Made a bunch of money,
or something, yeah.
Which I think is cool. Way to go, Betty White, kicking ass, even after you're dead. But Louis Anderson?
Yeah. I think that was yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, Bob Saget, I don't know, I guess Louis Anderson was never a very healthy-looking person.
True.
So to expect him to live a long life. Now, Bob Saget, on the other hand, had probably a healthy build, but apparently had a pretty good history of stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently it became apparently the QAnon people laid into Mr. Saget because they pulled out like apparently like after he died, a bunch of people were pulling out like all their old videos and like not like they were just getting back on YouTube and searching Bob Saget videos. Apparently they did a Comedy Central roast of him like in 2005 or something like that. And Gilbert Gottfried basically made a joke that he molested the Olsen twins. And the Q people ran on that and was like, oh, he's a fucking child molester. Trump was president, he would have been dead 10 years ago.
See, Gilbert Gottfried knew all about it. He was the whistleblower.
Yeah, and stuff like it was just, Gilbert Gottfried. I can't do it, but that was a funny little subtext that I heard on that story.
I mean, Bob Saget, he was just an interesting person in general, and like everyone associates him with America's Funniest Home Videos and being
and Full House
Danny Tanner on that, but. I think he, talked about it on some of the interviews that he did that he pretty much, he had his acting things that he was doing, but then he had the stand-up was dirty. It was dirty.
Yeah. Well, he was. I saw the clip and I remember watching it when we were watching it like in real time from Entourage.
Oh, I'm right.
He was on Entourage playing himself, like as himself. And I can't remember what it was E from Entourage and Bob Saget and some chick, and then one of the managers for the main character from Entourage, who was also Bob Saget or whatever. It's just like this, the exchange in Bob Saget was like hilarious. And apparently that's not like really him in real life with normal people. That's just his comedy. And like among comedians, apparently all the comedians talk about how like that's how he treats everybody. Like he's a complete asshole. Like he's just fucking weirding me out. Go away. Like it's just like talks really down, but he doesn't like the story I heard on it was he doesn't talk down to people who are below him. He talks down to people that are on the level of him. So like other comedians and stuff like that, he'll call them losers and stuff like that.
Rib them,
but actual people that are like the story was something about it was him and somebody else that did a comedy show at a comedy club, and that like he was amazingly nice to the staff, tipped real well, made sure like was really nice to all the staff and the stuff, but treated all the other comedians like shit. Like that was apparently his shtick, and so. Yeah, but the other comedians thought it was funny too. Yeah, just like a lot of the other comedians. Nah, I'm not going to make the dick jokes. Anyway, that's a bummer. Just more death. It's a regular year, I guess. I guess that's the reality of it, though. It's like it's regular, like normal. It's like, oh shit.
Especially with, how many celebrities we have now. Like, there's just so many just famous people for whatever.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
I don't think there was much else going on in the state, or.
There's a bunch going on, but nobody's talking about it or paying enough attention to it. Like, we really could, like, if we really wanted to, if we really wanted to, and we really understood it better. And I give you many claps and kudos for trying to watch these state house videos and stuff like that. Like, we could do hour-long episodes on just what happened in the state house this week. Like, it would be this thing went, this thing's going to subcommittee. And trying to get context to those things, we could try. Somebody should try. I don't think it should be us. I can't do it. Like, I can't watch a fucking county commission.
So PBS is like, we put it on TV. That's the best way we can do it.
We could. Yeah, because, I try to watch county commission meetings. It's like I know all these people. I've met most of them. I've talked to them. I've had interviews with them. I know what they're talking about as far as this neighborhood or this street or this, that, and the other. And it's like, it's so hard to watch and stay interested in.
Actually, like last year when I was watching it more, I just got lost in the proceduralness of it. I was like, I have what just happened? We rolled this to calendar? Wait, what does that mean? We pass this on first consideration?
Maybe I should get... I'm talking to Hugh Nystrom. He used to be County Commissioner District 4. I'm talking to him about coming in and help me get the County Commission, like, do's and don'ts, what they can and can't do together. Maybe we should do that. We should be like, hey, man, just every once in a while, periodically, can we maybe, like, just... We'll sit here, put a County Commission meeting on, and, like, if something weird that I don't understand happens, I can pause it and ask you. Like what that actually, like whether it's a procedural thing or just, because again, like the idiot that I am, Mr. Cole was talking about how much probate stuff that the Chancery does, and I was like, I'm sorry, time out, because he was like listed a bunch of stuff off. I was like, I've heard probate 1,000 times, but I really don't know what that means. He's like, it's will stuff, dead, like when people die and what to do with the estate stuff. It's like, okay, cool, totally understand it now. It's like back with Massey, so talking about summer session. And you'd asked the question at some point, and when I had her in here, she mentioned it. I was like, hey, time out. Explain what summer session is for me. I can't remember what else it was, but I think it was Mammotoff. I'm like, time out. You guys keep saying this service the debt. What the fuck does service the debt mean? Yeah. Oh, you're paying the mortgage. Check. You know, you guys have special terms that you guys use, probably on purpose to keep us confused. I'm going to stop and ask. You know, and like especially with with Mr. Cole being a lawyer, he has a lot of lawyery terms that he kept throwing out. And there's everyone. Right. So he's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I take it.
Pro se. And,
right. He's like, you know, and what's funny is like he stopped himself because he did one.
And been like, objection.
Actually, he stopped himself and did one. Like it was the God, what did he say? It was the preponderance of the evidence. He's like, it's a little bit of a legal term. It's called preponderance of the evidence. And he started explaining, and I let him go. But in the back of my head, I was like, I actually know what that would mean. So, but I didn't say it. But again, like, you know, like the idea, and he knew it. Like he caught himself. He's like, I get it. You know, I use these words all the time. All the other lawyers that I'm working with or working against in a case, and the judges that I'm dealing with on a daily basis, right. They know all these words. They know what it means. It's that this is the language that we speak in. And I forget sometimes that you guys out here don't know that language. And I think it's the same thing in whether it's county commission or the state house or anything. There's a language to what they do. And I think that goes with a lot of things. I think a lot of places you go, like when restaurants that I worked in, there's a language for restaurants employees that they use. There's terms that they use, like, you know.
So what's he yelling 86 for?
Right. You know, like we have that on the calendar upstairs. Not on the calendar. We have the big board upstairs. It's like we have it as the 86 column, and it's like things we ran out of that next time you need to go to the grocery store, you need to pick up. So like ketchup, like things that we use regularly, but it's not like the main thing. Like, you know, we're doing burgers this week. I don't think about getting ketchup at the store. Right. I think about getting meat and cheese and buns. But, you know, kids use ketchup all the time for hot dogs or corn dogs during the week, or Eli puts ketchup on chicken tenders. Oh, gross. But he does it. He puts it on his chicken sandwiches. We go to Chick-fil-A. He gets ketchup on his chicken sandwich. And he only eats half of it. And it's like, dude, if you didn't put ketchup on there, I'd eat the other half of your damn sandwich. But you put ketchup on it. Can't touch it now. The other one likes the Chick-fil-A sauce. Same deal. Can't do it. Can't touch it. Nah. But he eats most of his sandwich, even though he's the little one. But yeah. Oh, I'm sure we missed a bunch of things. Capitalism is not evil. They're just evil capitalists. That's for my other podcast friends if they listen this far. They had a whole segment this week. Drove me crazy. Yeah. In New York, some apartment building burned down in New York, and it's capitalism's fault that the apartment building burned down. Same thing in Philadelphia. Some people died.
I saw a little bit on it. That had something to do with basically like a fire door that was left open.
Right. That was supposed to automatically close, and it didn't have the thing that was supposed to do what it was supposed to do. Yeah. And like they're talking about, like, this is what drove me nuts about it. It's like I was listening to them and I was like, okay, explain to me why this is capitalism's fault. And it's like cheap owners not doing their part. The people are afraid to do this, that, and the other. It's like every single thing that you mentioned on why the fire happened and why it got as bad as it was because the city didn't do their job in forcing it to happen. Okay, sure, the evil, greedy capitalists didn't do it either, didn't do it on their own, but all these rules are in place for them to do these things, and they didn't do it. And the city let them get away with it, and there's reports of previous times they've gone out there, and the city said, hey, you need to fix this, you need to fix that, you need to fix this. And they didn't. Shitty capitalists, I agree. Shitty enforcement of laws on the books in the city of New York. You can't lay that all on the feet of capitalism.
Hey, what more could the city have done in that? Just shut down the building and evict everyone out of it until the landlord fix the issues?
You can fine, you can do all that.
I mean, once you have people there, I mean, the city can say no one can move in until these things are finished, or you can't sell this.
The city can do a lot of shit. It's not that simple. It's not just that you can't.
I mean, you can levy fines, but then you're just going back and forth, and they're like, okay, they didn't pay these fines.
I mean, what's the point of putting the regulation in if you don't have teeth to make it get done? What's the point? Why do we bother with Clean Air Act if we can't do anything with it? Because that's what we've talked about. You and I have argued that one on Environmental Protection Agency or whatever. It's like you keep talking about how they keep getting their teeth taken away. Yeah. And that's stupid. Like, why are you going to give them the authority to do something but then not the power to actually do it?
I thought you were anti-regulation.
I am anti-regulation.
Okay.
But if you're going to put the regulations on the books, fucking enforce them. Make them enforceable. You know, I mean, because basically what you're doing, and again, there is the greedy capitalism of this building owner at play.
Well, I'm asking, what could the city have done?
I don't know. I don't know what the rules on the books are. They've got to have something.
You make your own rules. What could the city have done?
You go in and you fine them. You start with a fine. You start with you start seizing assets from them and do it yourself. I don't know. We'll do it for you and we'll send you a bill. If you're not going to do it, we'll do it. We've got people, and our people are expensive. Our people are really expensive, but we'll do it. Here's the bill. I mean, that's exactly what Knox County does if you don't mow your lawn. It's exactly what they do. They'll send you a warning and say, hey, mow your lawn. And then you don't mow your lawn. They'll send a crew out to mow your lawn for you, and then they'll send you a bill.
Charge you for it. Wow.
So, there's a start. And then the other story that they reference is in Philadelphia, and the fucking city of Philadelphia owned the building. But it's capitalism's fault. It's like, capitalism has its problems. I agree. But the city owns the building. This is a social building. This is owned by the society. And they don't give a shit to keep up the building safe. How is that capitalism's fault? Capitalism's fault. It's such a cop-out, shitty argument that they put on. It's like, you could find examples and I'll agree with you. And I'll say, that's some shitty person. That's a shitty person doing a shitty thing. And that person's allowed to do that shitty thing because of how capitalism works. Okay. You could find some cases of that. But if you're going to shit on capitalism and just say capitalism at large is bad, you got to get better examples than those ones. That drove, like, I have a hard time listening to their episodes, but I do it anyway. I force myself to listen to them. But that segment just drove me crazy. Not quite as much as the pedophilia one, but like, it's just like, you're so close, but somehow so wrong at the same time. Like, it kills me. Again, there are problems with capitalism. I agree. But when a city has the authority, has been given the authority by the community to do something about it, and they don't, you can't put that all on capitalism. And when the city owns the fucking building, you really can't put any of that on capitalism. I agree. There's problems with the landlord-tenant world that we live in. There really is. It's crazy to me that it's more expensive to rent than to own a place. But it is. I don't know if that's going to change, ever.
Probably not.
It's crazy to me.
You pay a premium. I mean, same with, like, leasing versus buying a car. You're going to pay more leasing. Right.
But at least, at the same time, you rent a place. When did you fix your heater having problems?
No, heaters work.
Okay, I remember when we were renting a place, we had an issue with our heater. You know what I did? Called the landlord, said fix it. It got fixed. You know how much I paid for it?
Do we have heat issues?
0. Not the pink house, the duplex we lived in.
Oh, okay.
But it's like, that is they're obligated to do those things.
Right.
Now, again, I could see...
There are certain circumstances where they can kind of take their time on. Like with like heat, it can't be more than like 48 hours or something weird stuff like that. Yeah, right.
Those obligations are in place, and that kind of stuff. But again, like, some of what you're paying for when you rent is the luxury. Maybe that's not the best word, but I'll stick with the luxury of not having to deal with a lot of the problems that a house has.
Right.
I mean, I've lived here for we're getting here for almost 10 years now. Put a new AC unit on it, put a new deck on it, changed a bunch of outlets, put a bunch of new light fixtures in. Not because we wanted new light fixtures, because we wanted light fixtures that worked.
Right.
Shit breaks, you fix it. Put a new fridge in this place. Our washer dryer's kind of bungee corded and some other stuff together. We bought a new washer dryer, but usually you have to buy those if you're a renter too. But our dishwasher is kind of bungee corded, held together, still working, but hanging on by a thread. And the reason it's still hanging on by a thread and I don't have a new one is because I have to buy it. I don't get to call the landlord and be like, hey, this fucking dishwasher's fucked.
Right.
That's not the way it works. And so you pay for that luxury to not have to deal with those things directly. And I agree that there are landlords out there that are going to avoid doing those fixes because they don't want to, and it costs them money and this, that, and the other, and they're assholes, and they should be treated as such. But those two examples were not good examples if they're going to bitch about the relationship of landlords and tenants and people dying because of greedy capitalists. That's not a good example. So anyway, that was my rant on the other people's podcast. Last call, the football game has started. I'm missing Packers football right now for this. It's because I like this more. Just like I like this more than being a trustee.
Got nothing of importance.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. How you feeling? Feeling good? Getting better? 90%? 95%?
80.
It's weird. Like, that's what's weird about the whole thing to me. It's like there's some, like,
I mean, they had a march today for long haulers.
What?
Huh?
I said what?
I said what?
They had a march where? Here?
In Knoxville, yeah.
What do you mean, the march for long haulers? Like, what were they marching for?
COVID long haulers. I guess bring awareness to COVID long haulers.
What is COVID long haulers?
It's people that have long COVID.
I've heard about it.
People that are experiencing COVID symptoms, or not necessarily symptoms, but repercussions from it for months, whatever.
I've heard a little bit about that.
Periods afterwards.
Some brain fog is one of them, I think.
Yeah, they're calling it COVID fog or whatever. I mean, my lungs still feel kind of funny. Sure, I'll probably have some issues with that for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, this time it stayed cold, weirdly. It stayed cold here for a while, which is probably not helping recovery on that for the people that my nose, like the past few days, it just feels like it's really dry, which, I mean, the air itself has been kind of dry, but it's been, like, extra. I've never had, like, the sensation that I'm constantly breathing in, like, cold, like, super dry air. I'm just like, this, like, almost hurts. You know, like, my nose just isn't producing mucus or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, it's really fucking crazy how this variant has gone completely apeshit compared to the prior. The priors were pretty bad, but this one, as far as...
They just said it's just much more transmissible, basically.
Did you order your tests?
Huh?
Did you order your free tests from the post office?
No, my roommate did. I think they came in today.
Did they? I haven't...
That's why I was surprised. I was like, what? I was like, I thought they said, like, maybe at the end of the month.
No.
I was like, because they just started taking orders Tuesday and Wednesday.
I ordered some. I haven't got them yet, but I tried to order some for the shop, and they're like, that's a business address. We want in there. Yeah. It's like, that makes sense. I was trying to be greedy about it. It's just like, I figured it'd be nice to have a couple extra at the shop, so if we have any staff that has concerns, it'd be like, here.
Right.
You know, it was an attempt to be... I'm generous isn't the right word because I'm using somebody else's money, but attempt to be proactive for the staff if anybody wanted it to make sure that it was available.
Right.
And maybe, you know, if they ever show up at fucking CVS or anything again, I'll go buy a couple of them and keep them at the shop for guys. But all right, well, like I said, I got a crazy week coming up. I've got no less than 1, 2, 3 next week, and then right now for the following week. So we're going to keep episodes coming hot and fast with interviews, trying to get as many of these people in as possible. Are you going to do the outro for me?
No, thank you.
Never. Sam's back in the room, feeling better. 80%, not 100, but moving in the right direction, and we like that. We're, like I said just then, it's I got 7 or 8 interviews coming up over the next couple of days. I'm trying to get some more in, as well as I'm trying to get some other people. I've been talking to Ed Schaus, the current trustee, about maybe coming in and trying to help explain to me what a trustee does. But, you know, like I said, we're going to try to figure out, like I ranted and raved at the beginning, I hate when people run on shit that they can't do in the job, so I'm going to call it out when I can. And I can't call it out when I can if I don't know what it is, so I'm going to try to learn more about it. We're Almost in Agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to our website, almostinagreement.com. While you're there, there's a pop-up right now, and it'll pop up to the job descriptions page that we've talked about a bunch, and I'm still filling it in. It is not complete at all. If you know better answers than I do, send them over. I'll put some updates on there if you know them and I don't. But we're almost in agreement. I don't know. We'll be back soon with interviews and other stuff. So that's it for tonight. Thanks, guys.